What's going on?
Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from the spot.
No, I feel he's a bit young.
He's ready, Jenny.
This is a glorious day. Day of judgment. Do you know the words memento mori?
It means remember death.
You heard it up top. Things are about to get outrageous because we're talking about the zombie franchise to beat all zombie franchises. It's quick, it's fast, it's British. It's 28 years later here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Jimmy Colin.
Oh, I'll be Jamikey.
And this is 28 Jacobs later.
Wow.
28 Jake Slater. Nice. I like it.
Right.
Yeah, we've, new movie in the 28 series, I guess. And we've never talked about any of these because it was 2002 and 2007. So, I didn't even know about it. We weren't even friends. At least I wasn't friends with you guys at that point. So first time touching the series, we might talk about all of it, but mostly this new movie. But we're going to be referencing the originals, I assume. So
Danny Boyle,
Alex
Garland.
Alex Garland, back at it again now. But had you seen the first two before going into this? What?
Yeah. Well, for me, I have seen, I did see the original two when they came out and everything. And I did recently just rewatch them in preparation for this movie. So it had been a little while since I saw those movies. So, I didn't remember all that much of them. So it was good to rewatch them. I think 28 Days Later, still a big fan. I think it still holds up very well. 28 Weeks Later, maybe not so much. I knew that one was good. Yeah, Danny Boyle didn't come back to direct. Alex Garland didn't come back, but honestly, I did not remember a single thing about that movie from the first time I saw it in 2007 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So rewatching that was like a trip because I was like, oh, Jeremy Renner's in this. I didn't know that. Rose Byrne, whoever, I didn't remember a single thing about it. But 28 Days Later, I think still really holds up. And I was a big fan of rewatching that movie. What about you guys?
Yeah, Colin, how about you?
I would say super monumental, that first film. Just aesthetically, the DV camera look, the 480p, which I'm sure we'll talk all about. It was so inspiring and so interesting that I remember we kind of ran out to see it, but in that classic dad way of my dad saw it, rented it, and was like, okay, we can watch this. And if it gets too weird, fast forward.
You had to scout it, right?
And I've never seen
if I saw it on the. You never saw 28 Weeks Later.
I've never seen 28 Weeks Later.
That's a movie that feels like it's directed to DVD, even though I don't think it was. But it is just, a director that came on that not really known for much else who directed that movie, who came on to do the second one. But 28 Days Later, like you said, the aesthetics, like the DV cam. I was gonna say it's like the best looking movie ever shot in 480p. DV cam, like
the most interesting movie, at least, certainly. And I hate that aesthetic, like the Henry portrait of a serial killer, sort of like disposable, disgusting, violent look. But it's almost like that's why it's supposed to look like that, and it works.
I think it really works. It really works for this movie, like this, just the whole aesthetic. Like it really puts it in that early 2000s time period too. And there's some really good looking shots, even though they're like very low res. Like I feel like it works.
Composition wise, they're really well done.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, they cut the film for the very end in the epilogue, and it's like the one time.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that movie really holds up. The third act with the military guys is kind of where it loses me a little bit. Christopher Eccleston, Doctor Who, of course.
It loses you because you're like, what? This guy just stepped out of a police box. Why is he doing this?
Why is he being so rapey?
Why is he being so mean to the scarecrow?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's amazing about that movie is the cast, which is like Cillian Murphy was like an unknown at the time. Naomi Harris, complete unknown at the time.
Our beloved.
Both went on, like Cillian Murphy, obviously a star, Oscar winner. Naomi Harris has been working consistently since then, but they really had almost no credits. I think Cillian Murphy had done some independent films before that. And then Brendan Gleeson, of course, more of an established character actor, Christopher Eccleston. But what a great cast. And I love all the stuff before the military when they're just riding around the country in the little taxi and stuff. Like, I think that's really great stuff.
Yeah, the Mad Eye Moody's got his Harry Potter car, and they're just in the countryside. That's like a good vibe, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Dude.
Um,
Yeah,
and I feel like this new movie, 28 years later, kind of lives up to that aesthetic that DV can, because I don't know if you guys know this, it was primarily shot on the iPhone 15. This movie.
yeah,
Just to kind of headline my relationship to this film that we're going to talk about today, Jacob, I
Yeah.
didn't know almost anything going into this film about what this film
Yeah.
was. So no, I didn't know that, but I can say that I've learned a lot since I've seen it, and that I'm very eager to talk about it.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
didn't know very much going in. Like, I purposely was like not trying to read too much. So I just wanted to go in fresh. I wanted to see this movie because every time I've seen the trailers, um, before movies and stuff, I was like, like, I don't know. You guys saw the trailers in the
Yeah.
marketing campaign for this movie.
Boots on the ground.
Moving up
Mhm.
and down again. Uh,
Mhm.
One,
but the trailers were
2,
fucking
3.
awesome. I was like, this is like one of the best trailers I've ever seen. So it made me interested in the movie, even though I was like, oh, the 28 somethings later franchise. I haven't thought about that in like 15 years.
Yeah.
But
Former host of this podcast, Joe, whose ability to be Tourette's adjacent sometimes when we will play games like Fortnite or Marvel Rivals, and would just quote the boots, part over and over, basically a
yeah.
month, is sort of a viral campaign if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was really successful, at least for me. Like, it just made me, I have no idea what this movie's about, but it made me more interested in seeing it. I knew Ray Fiennes was in it. I knew
I didn't
Aaron
know that.
Taylor Johnson. Oh, really?
Right.
I did know that.
Yeah.
Knew
Um,
Craven would be hunting.
There was rumors that Cillian Murphy was in this one, and there's like that skinny zombie.
Yes.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
field, and people are like,
He
"That's Cillian
was
Murphy."
so skinny as Oppenheimer. He must be skinny zombie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He was not Cillian Murphy. Spoiler alert.
No.
But yeah, 28 weeks later doesn't
Yes.
hold up in the same way. Jeremy Renner, Rose Byrne, Michael from
And-
Lost,
Yeah.
our favorite.
And some others.
Jeremy
Harold
Renner
Perrineau.
is the most interesting and outstanding choice there, of course, as an American who's in this
Yes.
primarily British
So
franchise.
you didn't
Well,
rewatch
the
it
plot of that
ever,
movie,
right?
No.
Colin? Okay.
yeah, the plot of that movie is that the American military comes in and sets up like a safe
Resettlement
zone for
program.
resettlement
Ah.
people. It's funny because canonically in this series, like, only the island of England is infected. Like, the rest of the world just went on as normal, but England has been like quarantined, which is still true to this film. So it's very funny.
I think if you look at the quarantine map, Ireland's there too for some reason, but it's just like, yep, just those
Yeah,
two.
just the British Isles.
Yeah. But
Um,
the end of 28 weeks, they imply that it broke out in France, and this
They
movie
do, yeah. They
seems
say
to be
it's
like,
reached.
no.
Yeah, it's reached mainland Europe, but then this
Nah.
movie's like, oh, they contained it in mainland.
And now we're
Europe.
just
it's
in England
Britain.
again. Because we
Yeah.
have Cillian Murphy seeing that airplane at the end of the first movie. We're like, oh yeah, this
Right,
shit's still going. So
Which is what
Yeah.
that title card we get that opens this film is.
correct. Yeah.
I want to jump into it. I'm very excited to talk to it. We're going to talk more about the people who made this film, but I do want to ask you guys, since we said
Yes.
history with the franchise, what is your history with the director Danny Boyle or the writer Alex Garland? Are you a fan of either of those men?
Yes.
Civil War.
I'm a big Alex Garland fan. I'm a big Danny Boyle fan. I think he's made a lot of great films. He's also made one of, I think, the stupidest films I've ever seen, called Yesterday.
I never saw it.
About
Oh,
a guy.
you hate that over Slumdog. That's interesting.
I like
Yeah, I think
Slumdog.
Slumdog's
What's wrong with
okay.
Slumdog?
You guys like Slumdog.
winner.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Dev
it doesn't
Patel.
hold up today, but
I only
Dev
saw it
Patel.
once. Yeah.
Yesterday, if you've ever seen it, which is the last movie he made in
Right.
2019, so it's been 6
Well,
years. Yeah.
But if you recall, Jacob, he did try to make a James Bond film.
Oh,
Hmm.
And he did quit that last James Bond film
okay.
with Daniel
Mm.
Craig.
But yeah, the last completed film in his filmography, Yesterday, 2019. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's about a guy gets in a bicycle accident and hits his head, and when he wakes up, he's the only one that remembers that the Beatles existed. Everyone else forgets. The world collectively
Right.
does not know what the Beatles are, and he's the only one who remembers their
Right.
music. And he becomes a global sensation musician by just playing Beatles songs.
Nice.
Terrible movie. Like, I cannot overestimate how bad that movie is. But overall, I do like Danny Boyle. He's made, Sunshine, 28 Days Later,
Yeah.
Train Spotting.
Mike, are you a fan? Obviously, Train Spotting maybe being the biggest in his calling card. Have you seen that film?
Yeah, and I mean, I think I like Sunshine a lot too, to be fair.
And that's another one that's Alex Garland wrote. That kind of started their
yeah.
relationship. Or I guess 28 Days Later started their relationship. Or
Yeah.
The Beach, right? Because Alex
The
Garland
Beach
wrote
is
The
actually,
Beach.
yes, because that is
Yeah.
an adaptation of Alex Garland's own book, interestingly enough.
But yeah, I like him. I like that he messes around with weird camera stuff. It's almost a prerequisite for these movies, but even in Slumdog, he had those like detached lenses that he could hide in like the Mumbai and stuff. Like he's always
Right.
doing weird
Well-
stuff with cameras.
127 Hours. He's did some camera stuff. The whole movie basically was James Franco stuck in some rocks.
But what you guys are talking about, because it's not just the camera, it's the music as well, is the works of a quote unquote stylish filmmaker. And I wonder if younger people would understand this and if you guys would even agree with this. But the consensus of the 90s and when we were growing up, of course, was that Danny Boyle is the British Quentin Tarantino. That the Train Spotting is as important to the crime genre as Pulp Fiction is.
I think that's an interesting comp. Yeah. And he is very stylish, and there'll be more of that later in the discussion too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
He's
will there?
like Tarantino, I think of him as like someone who remixes, obviously loves lots of different kinds of films and sort of remixes those inspirations into his own film. I feel like Danny Boyle does that less, even though obviously he's inspired by other films too.
I just guess two stylistically distinct directors that were kind of coming up at the same time and having an impact on the art form. I would say he's like, the British version of that next wave of artistic director, right?
Shiloh Graves, his first film was very Reservoir Dogs-esque. It's a crime thriller all set in one room.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Trainspotting, obviously about heroin addiction. You have 28 Days Later. You have Sunshine, a great sci-fi movie. Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours. Trance, never seen that. Steve Jobs,
is
pretty
terrible.
good movie.
Steve Jobs is amazing.
Yeah, never saw T2 Trainspotting, which is the sequel.
Never seen
not
it.
Terminator 2.
Two trains, two spotting.
Yeah, Judgment Day, Train Spotting Judgment Day.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like he has fallen off a little bit until maybe this movie.
Well, I want to ask you this, Jacob. Has there ever been a case of a person who got to cash in someone else's blank check? Suddenly, Barbenheimer happened, and Cillian Murphy was the biggest name on the planet outside of like a real pop culture thing, like a thing like Barbie, which made sense. And then you had this like scarecrow in a cowboy hat who had to be like, and I'm tied to this interesting thing too, and everybody says I'm the best actor, and then he won the best actor.
And he had the
people
whole
like,
Oscar.
what do you want to do? And he was like, well, I could jump on a franchise, I could do X, Y, and Z. What if we made another 28 Days Later? And he's a producer on this film, but as you pointed out, he's not in this film. So it is almost like Danny Boyle being like, let me take your goodwill.
Yes. So, I did talk about last time about how there's like, this is going to be a trilogy with, they're going to be The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta. And spoiler alert, maybe, but in the next movie, Cillian Murphy is credited as being in that movie. So I don't know what that means, but...
Can I spoiler alert to you guys something that I saw on Wikipedia?
Yeah.
His character's name for the first film, Cillian Murphy's,
Jim.
Is Jim.
Whoa, shit. Yeah, okay, we'll get there. Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But Cillian Murphy, an actor I've always really liked. My thing is like, he wasn't always like a superstar and maybe not a household name until somewhat recently, but he's been a working actor for a long time. Obviously, the Batman, Christopher Nolan, Batman movies.
Red Eye.
Peaky
Blinders. Film I love to watch on a plane.
That was a transitional role for him, to get to Batman.
That's great.
Playing sort of a bad guy. And then, of course, if you're a Peaky Blinder, I tip my cap to you, sir. If you're a fan of the Peaky Blinders, he's the star of that, and so he's always an actor that I've liked a lot. So I'm glad he's sort of getting his due now. But this movie does not have him. I did want to ask you guys one other thing, and not to jump too far ahead, but do you guys know who Jimmy Savile is or was?
No.
Jimmy Savile. Okay, this is something we'll talk about when we get to the end, maybe, of this movie. But if you were confused by the ending of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think it's something. So Jimmy Savile was a British media personality, like a TV
I
host,
have to look it up.
radio guy.
oh, he's the
Also a
pedophile,
guy who,
right?
yes, after his death, he died in
Whoa.
2011, was part of a huge scandal where he was like a huge sexual predator with like 100 allegations of like doing
Jesus.
stuff to kids and stuff. So like, and just, obviously covered up his entire career. And then after, like 10 years after his death, this whole thing comes out. And so he's
Wow.
a disgraced, but previously a national treasure sort of to Britain as like this TV guy who hosted like Tops of the Pops for a long time and stuff.
No.
So he's a household name in England, which is why I think the ending of this movie is going to be confusing to a lot of American audiences who don't know who that is. But
Okay.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but so we'll
I
get
would
to
argue that every moment of this movie is confusing.
Yeah.
that. It's a fascinating movie, and maybe we should jump into it. But I just wanted to get you
That
guys.
there is a reference to a television personality that a lot of people likely
Yes.
missed if you didn't grow up
That's
with
what
him.
he
Jimmy
dressed
Savile.
like?
Yeah, so at the end, those people that show up that are dressed in tracksuits and long blonde hair, that is a reference to Jimmy Savile, famous British media
Did he wear a
personality.
tiara?
No.
Okay.
Well, we'll get there, but
But,
with some of the themes of this movie that could be very intentional by Danny Boyle. And
Yes.
yeah,
But if you think about it, like in the context of the world of this movie, that
would have been
stuff
on
never would have
TV.
came out about
Right,
him
yeah.
because it would
Oh,
have been
what a
after the
blessing for
apocalypse.
him.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. But this movie, 28 years later, the third movie in the 28 franchise.
The Crazy
Let's talk about
28. Let's jump in right after this.
Let's take a bite.
Ooh, now I'm mad.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we are talking about the newly released film. It is 28 years later. As we've said, it is the threequel. It is the third film in the 28 ... franchise, which is a zombie
so
rage
long.
virus franchise.
It's been so long they skipped over 28 months later and went right to years.
Right. And I mentioned to you guys that, you'd never seen the prequels 28 hours later and 28 minutes later. Minutes is a
Right.
short film, obviously.
I think hours could work.
Yeah, hours. It's just Jim in the hospital bed
127
sleeping.
hours later.
That'd be good.
Has
Yeah.
anyone noticed that Danny Boyle has made a lot of movies about units of time because he also made 127 hours?
Tomorrow.
Time. Okay, the time universe.
Yeah. Also, by the way, so we talked about Danny Boyle up top. Also,
Mhm.
Alex Garland, who wrote this movie, who's worked as a writer and director. You guys are fans of his work, I assume.
Alex Garland's my favorite screenwriter of all time. He was my
Wow.
idol for a long time. I loved the fact that he was paid the highest amount a screenwriter had ever been commissioned at that point for a spec screenplay for the Halo film.
Wow,
For Neil
sure.
Blomkamp, I believe.
Right,
But
yeah,
his
yeah.
work
Mr.
in screenwriting and transition to director work, I think, has been incredible.
I think, yeah, I like a lot of his work a lot. I think he's had a good track record. Lately, it's been a little more hit and miss, I think, with Civil War. I wasn't a huge fan of. Men, I wasn't a huge fan of. But his first two directorial features, Ex Machina and Annihilation, I love both those movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those movies are great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he did Ex Machina, Annihilation. Then he did Men, which I thought wasn't that good. Then he did Civil War, also not that good. Then he did another movie called Warfare. So he's been really busy the last couple of years because he had Civil War, Warfare, writing this movie, and writing the other two movies in this
Yeah.
trilogy. And I don't know if you guys know this. So, as I mentioned, 28 years later, Part 2, The Bone Temple, was shot simultaneously with this and is coming out in January of 2026. So not even
Can't wait.
less than a year
Right.
away.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Can't wait. Guess what?
Yeah. I mentioned on the watch it when it was announced. You guys mentioned, there's going to be 3 of these. I was like, I hate that. And now, to jump ahead, I love that. I'm ready.
Guys,
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Can we talk first reactions to this film?
Yeah.
I just want a baseline
Let's
of
do
where
it.
you guys are at. What did you think about this movie?
So I think that this movie, throw all of your expectations out the window. Whatever you're thinking you are going to get, you are not
Yes.
going to get. It is very wild. It is very all over the place, and I love it for that. It's doing a lot,
Yeah.
but it's succeeding. I really, really liked it. So
Okay. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was
Yay!
great, and I agree with you. It is kind of all over the place,
In a
but
good
it's
way.
just in a good way because it defies your expectations at all turns, and kind of, I mean, tonally, it shifts a lot. Where it's like it kind of changes what kind of movie it is a lot, which is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
The ending is especially crazy, but if you think of it in the context of it's setting up a sequel,
Oh boy.
but the ending is
Yeah.
so goofy, it almost like derails the entire movie. But because the entire movie previously I was so into that it worked for me.
Yeah.
So Colin,
Yeah.
let's hear your.
I think there's a chance that this is the most interesting movie we will ever talk about.
It's
Wow.
close.
Was a wild ride for me. And as I
Yes.
said, knowing nothing going into it, Mike, I said exactly what you just said to my brother today. I said, whatever you think this movie is about, you just get rid of that. Like
Get
it's
rid of
not,
that.
it's just not going to go how you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
And when the credits rolled, and Jacob, you say that last scene is goofy, but when it dawned on me that what I had actually seen was the Fellowship of the Rings of three
Right.
Lord of the
Fellowship
Rings
of
films,
28. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Fellowship of the Bone Temple. I like truly lost my mind in a way where I was like, there's a chance I'll never stop thinking about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so I saw it earlier today, I should say. Like I saw it in my classic matinee style, and I have not stopped thinking about it since because I'm just like,
Yes.
what was that movie? Also, what will be this next movie? But yeah, the ending. And if you're someone who,
And
Dune
spoilers,
Part
by
One,
the way,
if
everybody.
you don't like
Yes.
Dune
For
Part One
all
because
of
it's
it, you
Just
fools.
get fucked. Yeah.
Yes.
That's all.
and if you're someone who wants like a complete film, and I think it is a complete film.
I think it is.
Within itself. Yeah, it's not a part. It's not a Dune Part One situation or a Spider Verse across the Spider Verse where it's like it feels like it's incomplete. But it's moving into a different narrative arc for the next film possibly.
Yeah.
But man, what a crazy film. Again, I didn't know anything going into it except that some actors were in it and what I saw in the trailers. Ray Fiennes' part in this is so unexpected to me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so much to talk about, but
And it has interest. Again, I think a prerequisite for a 28 movie is weird camera stuff. Like Jacob said, the iPhones. There's crazy editing, use of montage,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning of this film. There's a lot of
Which I
interesting
love that
techniques. Yeah.
yeah,
There is a moment in this movie which I think is maybe the most interesting narrative moment of a film that I'll see for a very long time when someone is presented with the skull of their loved one. And the soundtrack just has a laser noise that's going zap, 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 zap. In between,
the
like the
soundtrack
most
is really-
beautiful, low, weird, melodic. Like when you guys are talking about the camera's interesting, the writing's interesting, the acting's interesting, the
The world
score's interesting.
Mhm.
Like there's a moment where I'm watching this movie where I'm like, I wanted to say out loud, like, how is Danny Boyle getting away with this? Like, I don't understand
Yeah.
how you make this movie. It's almost like a David Lynch film if he had done an action film.
a lot of montagey editing,
Adventure
especially
film.
in the first act. And I feel like again that the tonal shifts where the third act was so emotional. I was crying in the theater. I was like, I did not
cried.
expect.
Mm-hmm.
I cried when an exam was happening that we will talk, and I assume maybe Jacob, that's the same
Yeah.
moment that
Just the whole third
leading up
act
all
with
that.
the
Yes.
the kid with his mother, all this
couldn't
stuff, the
believe
Ray
it.
Fiennes stuff. I was like, this is like the most
I
like
couldn't believe it.
touching movie I've ever seen. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
But
I watched the Grand Budapest Hotel the night before because I guess I did know that Ray Fiennes was in it because I guess I had seen the cast list when I was looking up to buy it or whatever.
Mhm.
But I guess I just assumed I don't know that he would be in like The Village or whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was watching Grand Budapest and I was like, oh man, it's so crazy thinking about the Pope movie that he did and how he didn't get the Academy Award. That
Right.
Menu movie that Mike likes, he didn't get the
Mhm.
Academy Award. Grand Budapest is one of my favorites of all time. It's a comedy. I think that's why he was passed up for the Academy Award. And then I'm leaving this movie thinking about a man covered in iodine who just likes
Mhm.
to smile and wave and do the craziest things ever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
if Ray Fiennes doesn't get the fucking Academy Award for this, I will kill someone the way I
This is-
should have when Chris Hemsworth didn't get nominated.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think maybe one of his best like performances ever, which is crazy because he's not in the movie that much. Like,
No.
he doesn't show up until
Till, like,
the
the third
third
act.
act. But so what I knew of it, I from the trailers and stuff, he had some like lines you hear in the trailer where he's talking about like there are many different kinds of death and things like that.
Some are better than
I
others.
thought-
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but did you know
I-
the lines Memento Mori? Like, was
Memento
that
Mori.
stuff like
Not in the
broken
trailer, I
down
don't
to you? Oh my
No.
god! Oh my god!
Memento Amoris. But
Mhm.
Live with love.
Ray Fiennes, I thought so. I did know. I guess I knew that there was going to be a cult element to this, where there's some kind of apocalyptic cult involved, and I thought he was going to be like the cult leader or something. That I
Sure.
assumed because I may have seen like some picture of him bald and like you said, covered in iodine orange. He shows up looking like Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. And I'm like,
Hello.
this guy's got to be the villain or something.
He
And
has
then-
a blowgun, like the most menacing thing you've like ever seen, basically.
Yeah. And then so he shows up, like looking like Apocalypse Now with his blowgun. I'm thinking this has got to be the villain of the movie. And then he's like the most kind-hearted doctor you've ever seen, who's making
gives-
this insane bone temple, I guess.
Yeah.
And the bone temple imagery, which is in all the marketing and the poster and everything. I'm like, what is this all about? Not what you expect at all. I feel
They
like
set it up
But
as
is-
crazy death cult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the Bone Temple of the titular next movie?
There's not another one, right?
So possibly.
There's not another one.
Yeah.
It must
I've
be.
been waiting for someone to ask me what this is.
13 years.
You have?
But it's he's set up earlier in the movie by Aaron Taylor Johnson, the dad character in this film. We'll talk about this family unit here, but this whole movie is just this really touching examination of death and dying and
Oh
what
my
that
God.
means, and it's incredible.
No,
Also,
and-
what a family is, and needing people, and living in humanity, and your roles
Yeah.
in society, and your roles to the earth. This whole thing could be about global warming in like an interesting way, right? And like all
Right.
these other angles.
It's doing a lot, and I think that's why I like it, because it is all over the place. But there's a lot of themes of like toxic masculinity and environmentalism.
Yeah.
What's man's relationship with nature, right? Do we destroy
I
it
was
or
thinking-
cooperate with it? There's a lot
Yes.
happening.
Yes. I was also thinking about it's a very British movie, and it's completely, set in England. It's a English director, of course. And I think it's also about like British politics, like the British political atmosphere of the last couple years, the isolationism, right? Brexit.
Brexit.
Yes.
I think it is sort of about Brexit,
so
where it's like this,
Other countries want nothing to do with them right now. They're kind of
where
You're on
Britain is
your
now
own.
this quarantine zone.
wow.
It's been 28 years, and the rest of the world has just kept going on without England. And England is like this post-apocalyptic wasteland, which is so
Yeah.
crazy. And I think it
Deliver
also
stuff
could
you order
be-
on the net. You know what the net is? No.
No,
This
you
is
know
my
what
girlfriend,
smartphones are?
ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong with her?
Anyway.
That part, I'll talk about that too. But
We
this
will
kid-
be. I'm sorry to say this.
yeah,
This is
Spoilers. This is a long one because Jacob, you keep
There's so
saying
much
no.
talk-
I'll be
yeah.
talking about this to everything we bring up. Guess what?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. We will be talking about every moment in this movie.
We haven't
Right.
even talked about the prologue yet. Like that's how
No.
crazy it is already.
But one other thing I want to say with obviously Brexit,
Yes.
British politics, and also post-COVID society. It's a movie that touches on that because you have this kid that's raised in this post-rage virus world who grew up in this isolated community.
Mhm.
I feel like that's sort of a commentary on Gen Alpha growing up in, this
COVID.
whole pandemic, starting in 2020.
All the do you know what a frisbee stuff is? And
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
all the stuff he doesn't
like-
know about. And it's like that's
Yeah.
a lot.
How
like
was the
in
world
Gen-
like before this? Yeah.
The conversations that I have with young people where I'm like, you used to just be able to walk up to the airplane. It was crazy. And they're like, what?
Your family
Right.
could come and wave at you. Yeah.
And
Yeah, you could just do whatever and everything was good.
which I think
once.
is super interesting because 28 days later, you can see that as sort of a post 9/11. It's about the post 9/11 anxieties of this post 9/11 world, and this is a post COVID anxieties movie. So it's kind of fitting in that way.
Is hatred and anger going to consume us as a society post a violent act? That is what that first film is about. You're absolutely
if you
right,
remember,
Mhm.
also in the first film, the rage virus starts, I assume, because they force monkeys to watch the news so much that it makes these monkeys go insane. Because if you remember the first
I think there was
scene,
other stuff going. I think they were
Yeah.
injecting some stuff too.
you remember
and
they had them like
mixing
tied
them
up and they're forcing them to
Yeah, to
watch
watch
the news.
world events. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
They can
drove
get
these
that done in
monkeys
5 minutes
insane.
this year.
We also have to talk about, 28 Days Later, people don't understand, brought back the zombie movie in a big
It
way.
was
Where people
huge.
think about The Walking Dead, all this stuff.
The Last
The
of
Walking
Us
Dead
wouldn't
probably
exist.
wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Shaun
if
of the
not for
Dead
28
is
Days Later.
literally a parody more of that film than it is anything else.
Yeah.
And then the Zack Snyder one, the mall,
Dawn of the
Fast
Dead remake.
Zombies.
Dawn of
Yeah.
Dead, the Fast Zombies is, as you're saying, a direct result of 28 Days Later.
Yeah. 28 Days Later was the birth of the fast zombie. And we had the whole Romero zombies, which kind of died out and were not really financially viable, I guess, in the late 90s to 2000s. And then this movie comes around, rejuvenates the entire zombie genre, introduces fast zombies, which they're not really zombies, they're infected with rage virus, right? So they're not undead, they're still alive, but they're infected by rage virus, because they even say in like 28 weeks later, oh, they all starved, they died of starvation, which is something that rage virus people can do. But yeah, introduced fast zombies, which is such a big thing. It's a controversial thing. We have the slow zombie versus the fast zombie, and which one do you prefer? Zombies are a metaphor for rampant consumerism, right? In the Romero movies, versus these fast zombies that are an entirely different animal in terms of like more scary, really, because you have someone running after you that won't stop versus someone kind of slowly shuffling towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first came out, I was like, holy shit, this is like, I hadn't seen anything like that. They were terrifying, like that debut.
Yeah.
And we kind of take it for granted now that they've been around since 2002. But yeah,
right.
Yes. And you
And with
asked me
controversy, like some
which
people
type
are
I
like,
prefer.
yeah,
Mine is Weekend at Bernie's too, the kind to just have voodoo zombies that only can move when they hear music and dance.
that's fun.
That's my
sure,
preferred version.
yeah. And I guess the scary part of the Romero zombies is it's a horde it's a slowly moving swarm of zombies that are coming towards you, and they overpower you in numbers. Whereas this one is just like truly just a maniac running after you.
Yeah.
And just pounding on the door or whatever,
And Colin, you mentioned the opening of, or not the opening, you mentioned Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, and I think that has like one of the best opening scenes to a zombie movie. And I think this movie now has one of the best opening scenes, and it demonstrates that it's not a horde. Once one person gets bit, shit hits the fan really quickly. Yeah.
And that's because
20 seconds.
They turn like immediately. Whereas like, Walking Dead, you got like a day and a half maybe before you fully turn. You can say goodbye to your loved ones. You can chop off your arm if you get your arm bitten.
You could not tell your group that you got bit for a couple days and try to hide it.
But Last of Us, fucking Joey Pants, they're like, hey, here's the rules, dude. It's been 30 seconds. You got to say goodbye.
Well, that's just Pedro being an asshole. Like, he could have said goodbye to his wife.
Yeah.
But 20 seconds is what they established in the first film. You have 20 seconds to kill him, or it's over.
This is like, it can bite you, or it can like cough blood into your mouth.
Fluid transmission.
Viral is the absolute worst.
Yes.
So it happens so quickly.
Blood in your eye. Ugh.
And that's why it's so hard to contain, because it's like, once one turns, then it just spreads like a virus, and it's impossible to contain. That's why they had to quarantine the entire British Isles.
All of Britain.
And I was thinking a lot in this one, because obviously it's so much more of a post-apocalyptic angle, and you see these sort of weakened and changed, and we'll talk about the differences in other type of zombies as well. But how dangerous it is to fight a fresh one. Like when the military guys in this one get changed immediately, and they're not worn down from hunger, fatigue, whatever. They're just pure, testosterone, rage, starter, fresh boys. Like, think about how fucking hard that would be to deal with.
You have a full tank instead of just they've been running around not eating for a couple of days. Yeah, that's true too.
Your belly swollen with child.
Or
this movie introduces like all kinds of new zombies or rage virus people. You've got the alpha, Hogs Out, my guy.
Oh, that's
What
another
if-
prerequisite
so you were
for
scared of zombies?
Yeah. You gotta
Yeah,
have
the
some
first one we
hanging
had
dog. Killian Murphy.
Killian Murphy hanging dong in the first one. This time we've got the alpha zombie.
Well, I call them
Big Boy.
Samson and Goliath.
Yeah.
um, that duo.
You've got slow crawlers that are crawling around eating worms and whatnot. So a lot has changed in 28 years.
Yeah, Danny Boyle had said, like, the ones that crawl around, that's like an evolution of the virus, because if they're burning too much energy by being raged out all the time, their metabolism, they're going to die. So they started moving slower and eating worms to conserve energy.
Yeah.
And then you have, like you said, the alpha and this kind of pack
I hope I
mentality.
wouldn't be one of the worm ones.
I don't want to be a worm one eating a shoelace.
I don't
No,
want
thank
to be
you.
a worm one.
I want to be an alpha,
gonna be
but I wouldn't be.
I'd be the
Exactly.
skinny guy.
I did have some questions about this world because, again, in 28 weeks later, they do say, like, oh yeah, they can die of starvation, and they all
It's
died
over.
out. It's over, but there's a re-outbreak due to a bunch of convoluted bullshit with an immune lady.
Yeah.
But in this world, it's like there's still a lot of rage zombies just running around England. But wouldn't it, like, I understand some of them can like survive on worms and wildlife and stuff, but it feels like there's almost too many zombies left now. Like they would all kind of be dead already.
Yeah, but I just the movie does set up a lot of world building that we don't get answers for everything, but I don't know. I just go with it. Like, sure,
Just go
they're
with
eating
it.
deer.
Yeah.
There were so
But
many
that's
deer
what I was about
left.
to
You know,
say.
screw
Are
it.
they eating those huge herds of deer? I mean,
They showed him
must
doing
be.
it in the night vision camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
The alpha
I
pulls the deer's head off.
He shows his finishing move. Yeah, exactly. They have to
Yeah,
telegraph it.
rip heads off with the
Constantly.
spine still attached.
Mortal Kombat, dude. It's
Um,
so sick.
Yeah, I think I'd be one of those like slow boys eating worms on the ground. I think that'd be an all right life.
Yeah, I guess. But I do love the world building with this movie. Even though it is different, there's some questions left. I'm like, I don't care. It's movie's awesome.
So should we talk? Let's talk about how this movie starts.
Let's talk about the movie.
That's not. Yeah,
Which is-
that's the aura. We just aura farmed for it for a little while.
We had to really aura out for a bit, but let's talk about Teletubbies.
Heck yeah. All right. So the opening we saw in the trailer, the Teletubbies, and obviously that's because the outbreak happened in 2002. So everything has been locked in time, like even the products in the grocery stores and stuff. So we're trapped in.
Right.
Yep. We're trapped in 2002. So the Teletubbies opens this thing. We got a room of kids. There's a bunch of parents running in and dropping them off. Hey, don't leave this room. And we're going to kind of see the origins of the outbreak from this perspective.
Shit's going crazy outside. And then, we see the outbreak in real life. Someone gets in, all hell breaks loose. A kid named Jimmy escapes. His mom kind of tells him to run as she's getting eaten. Runs to the church to see his dad, who's like the priest. His dad
He's
is
the
like
vicar. I had to look this up in the Wikipedia.
Oh,
because
sure.
Apparently,
He's the
vicars
local
in the Church
vicar.
of England can get married and have kids. 'Cause I was
Okay,
like,
a
wait,
vicar.
is that his real dad? I didn't really understand this part, but it is.
and his dad's like, yeah, it's it's the
It's Judgment Day. I
reckoning
love
or
this
whatever.
shit.
Judgment
Isn't
Day.
this great, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Gives him his cross, and then
Yeah,
that's sort of
that's
the
bullshit,
intro.
man.
Now I thought, again, here's another thing that kind of defied my expectations.
Yeah.
I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was this kid, Jimmy, grown up the
That's
whole
what I would've
movie
figured
until the
too.
very end. Because his name is Jimmy. Aaron Taylor Johnson's name is Jamie in this movie. I had to
Oh,
look that
right.
up afterwards because I thought they
Yeah.
were saying Jimmy with like
Oh,
a
Same.
I didn't
Scottish
even put
accent.
that together. You were
Yeah.
way ahead of me on that.
Obviously, the Jimmy of the intro in this movie does show up at the end, played by
But-
Jack O'Connell.
Yeah.
Is
Remick.
that true?
Jimmy.
Yeah, he's
I
back.
No, he
believe
has the
so.
cross on. They show the cross
Yeah.
explicitly.
But
Got the
that-
upside down
but
cross.
I guess we'll learn. But
Yeah.
he very easily could have just been like, I was his first acolyte, and then I took it, and now I'm the lead Jimmy. You know?
Fair.
Yeah, I think
Because
that's
we
what
also
you're
had
supposed to
Jimmy hanging
assume,
upside
though.
down
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the
That's
barn.
true, but I
We
think
had
that-
upside down
that-
Jimmy.
was foreshadowing that scene, I think, of this
Yeah.
cult of Jimmy. Jimmy
it's
Savile,
good.
right? They're all dressed as Jimmy Savile. Don't want to jump ahead too
He
far,
was
but I
upside
think
down. The cross was upside down. Yeah, true. It's a metaphor. It's their messaging.
Yeah, I think that'll be brought back in the next movie.
But I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was him. Yeah, grown up.
For the whole movie, I thought that until
You
the
both
end when I realized, oh, that's the kid from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I assume. So I think that's what you're supposed to assume.
Yeah, I think there's red herring a little bit. But I do think this opening scene, it shows how fast shit goes crazy. I think it's a really, really strong opening scene to establish the threat and kind of reintroduce people to how dangerous these infected are. And I think it was just really well done as far as tension and everything. So just good job opening.
Yeah. And then we cut to 28 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet Aaron Taylor Johnson. Now let's talk about Aaron Taylor Johnson, our favorite actor.
He's a ship man.
I'm a ship man.
Yeah.
Damn it, he's a ship man. Now, we're no stranger to this. Of the point of, I think, maybe all of us saying, certainly I've brought it up multiple times, I cannot stand this guy. We pointed out in the Nosferatu episode.
Yes.
We didn't do a Craven episode, but I said on some Watcha, like, boy, wow, he's so bad. I've never seen a role with him where I've thought, well, you couldn't replace this guy. He's doing incredible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right. He's just a guy.
Well, what do you think about him in this? I like him. I think I maybe like him more than you guys because I just think he's such a good ship man. But I think he's good in this.
This is one of his best roles, I would say, in terms of, like, I didn't hate him in this.
The whole time, I'm just watching him and thinking, like, there he is, Quicksilver.
Yeah. Okay, Colin.
We're trying again with this guy. Whatever. Okay, I guess. Now, when it cuts to the
Columbia
moment,
Pictures. So
yes, very true.
Craven,
but when it cuts to the moment that we will talk about, we'll do the whole scene. But when he's lying about the story that his son did, I was like, "Fuck." Aaron Taylor Johnson's incredible in this movie.
He's good at this, yeah. And yeah, I'm not someone who likes a lot of his movies. I was telling Mike the other day, like I was rewatching some of the older MCU movies, Captain America, Winter Soldier. Then I watched Avengers: Age of Ultron. Not my favorite. Probably the worst Avengers movie. And he is bad as Quicksilver. I do not like him as Quicksilver. They waste that character. They kill him in that movie. Obviously, Wanda goes on to be a very interesting character, but Quicksilver is completely wasted, and he's not good in it, and he's very annoying. I don't like him. Kick-Ass, don't like Kick-Ass.
Don't like Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
See, okay.
You like Kick-Ass?
No, I mean, I've only seen it once ever. I liked it at the time, and I don't know. But yeah, he has had a rocky go of it. I don't think he's had anything, even though I like Nosferatu.
He keeps trying to do franchises, Craven the Hunter.
He's peaking here.
He's pushing his kid, and they have the little knife exchange, and he's going to do something, but he's got the restraint to give it back to him, but he still has to turn down those stairs and punch the top of the stairs. I was truly sitting there thinking, is Alex Garland one of the greatest writers of all time? He can do anything. He can do small, intimate family drama like this and give the meatiest fucking part to Aaron Taylor Johnson of his whole goddamn life.
Yeah,
and
he wrote.
And it's
Aaron Taylor Johnson. He made him look good. Yeah,
right. It's such a complex role where he's this sort of role model figure to his son. He's
Spike.
Spiky.
He's teaching him things about the world.
Spiky boy.
Trying to teach him how to survive.
At the same time, his wife is sick. He's dealing with that. She gets confused a lot.
Oh, you're doing gabber. What do you mean you're letting our Spiky boy go out? You daffin' McMarble.
Right.
It's time you daft Jimmy Dumber.
Yeah.
This old man Colin report. Unfortunately, this film
Scottish accents.
I've said. But I have to have my subtitles at this point. I have to.
They're living in the Scottish Highlands on this island, this community of very thick Scottish brogues. But yeah, he's holding this family unit together. He has this affair, as we find out later, that the kid sees and everything. So he's having an affair, but his wife, he's got so many layers to this role where he's like trying to hold his family together, but he's a flawed person.
You're thinking about the trailer that's like 1, 2 boots on the ground.
Yeah,
I'm like
moving up and down again.
Like you said, Jacob, about how this film is about like grieving the loss of just like life and everything and people, and you're just like, there's this whole family unit. All these characters have so much going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this first third of the movie, kind of circling around the village, is so good. Like,
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
yeah,
It's
and I
great
didn't
world
expect
building to
that from the
show how
Beach
this
trailer. Yeah.
community works. Yeah. And so Aaron Taylor Johnson, like, yeah, I thought he was like maybe the weakest part of Nosferatu. Um,
How
not
dare
good
you?
as Quicksilver.
Couldn't do the
Haven't seen
dialogue.
Kraven the Hunter. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, Craven's bad.
I just think he's kind of a weirdo personally, just because he's in the rare reverse gender age gap
Oh,
relationship. You guys know about this, right? Where
Yeah,
it's
he's
usually
starting
an
a
older
relationship.
man with
the
a younger
DiCaprio
woman.
effect. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Sam Johnson or
Sam
whatever
Taylor
her name is.
Johnson.
Yeah, but they
Uh,
started when he was 17, I believe,
Ooh.
yeah,
correct?
she directed him in the movie Nowhere Boy, where he plays a young John
Yeah.
Lennon. That's where they met when he was 17 or 18. Started in a relationship, got married in like 2012 when he was 22. So I looked this up. He's 35 now, same age as me.
Mhm.
She's 58. So he has a
How old are
58-year-old
her
wife.
kids?
I don't
I
know,
know
but I
she
mean,
had kids before they had kids together.
she's old enough that he could be her kid.
Yeah.
Well,
So I mean, I guess, it's different in that it's not an older guy with a younger woman as is all too common, but I still think
Yeah.
it's a little bit weird and a little bit power dynamics with him meeting her when he was 17 or whatever, and her being the director of his, I guess,
that feels
breakout role.
sussy. Yeah, it's 25
Yeah,
years
but
older.
they got married and they're still together today. So it's like you can't take that agency away from him again and say like, well, I guess, that's his choice. That's what he wants to do. So I can't judge someone else's
But
relationship.
it's
I do
the,
think
the
it's a
rare
little weird
reverse
personally.
Leonardo optics. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You're a
Well,
35-year-old guy with a 58-year-old wife. It's a little strange. But anyways.
let's set him up
Yeah.
a little in this film because I think his aesthetic is also very interesting as well. So Jacob said, after our opening, we cut to it's a Scottish island. It's a small community that's not, medieval farmers or something like that, although you will get constant intercutting of medieval time life and archers and things like that to sort of reinforce this lost, timeless sort of element and feeling, right, to the narrative.
Yeah.
And you meet a small family, which is a little boy being woken up in a room
Spike
with
my lad.
stuff. I mean, it has posters, it has
Yeah.
things, but again, it doesn't look like it's got electricity per se. And he goes downstairs to, as we said, his name's Spike. He goes downstairs to his father, Jamie, who's wearing like a shiny metallic sort of like sportsy, like maybe even like a rugby sort of like jersey thing, like a green metallic sports shirt, right? And again, he's using a stove that seems to be built in the wall and constructed. The home seems like a small farm, thing that seems very constructed, small little cabin or something. And you're thinking like, again, this timelessness of like, he looks so savage and normal with his studded earrings, so 90s coded, right? But they live in this, Luddite society. What is this?
Well,
You're just so off kilter.
Yeah, and it's you think it's a community that's cut off from the world around them. They don't have electricity, but they have, it's a simpler life, I guess. So it's kind of return. And I feel like this movie is somewhat a commentary on this idea of like return to tradition, right? The trad wife
Right. Yeah.
trend where people want to live in the rural, want to live on a farm and raise kids and have livestock and things like that, and just be cut off from society. It's sort of a conservative coded thing, but it's becoming more and more popular, I think, with a lot of people where they're like, we need to cut off technology and just return to a simpler time, right? And that's what this is, but it's out of necessity because they're in this quarantined
We
England.
see they do have a school on this island, and we see a sign that says the jobs you can go out for, and it's like seamstress and farmer and shepherd and those things. What would you guys want? Would you want Watchtower, the guy who's got to be up there?
Yeah, I'd be the
24/7, just
Watchtower
looking
is
at the
good.
horizon?
Yeah, there's a lot of bow and arrow, right? Obviously, bow and arrow, a very handy weapon for killing zombies. When you have limited ammunition for guns and things like that. So bow and arrows are the
It
natural
seems like
choice.
this society has no guns, in fact.
Yeah. They're heavily.
Maybe they ran out of ammo long ago, probably. You see at one point like their graveyard with all the people that have died in the past, and like, oh yes, we've made, there was mistakes in the past. That's why when you go out to the mainland, there's no rescues and all this stuff.
If you make it back, great, but if you don't come back, we're not looking for you. That's their policy.
Yeah.
And yeah, they seem to have
And
no more
I'm
guns.
a bow guy.
You're a bow guy.
I love me a
You
bow
are a bow
guy.
guy.
And,
So I would be training the bow and arrows a lot, for
yes.
sure.
And historically, England and Scotland, like bow archery, the long bow has played a big part in the history of
Robin Hood.
medieval Europe. Robin
Have you
Hood.
heard of him?
Yes, and we see that like on the mainland, they've been slowly clearing back the forest. Like you see that they've been chopping down trees to make arrows. Like, that's something that you can create in the apocalypse easily, and you can reclaim your ammunition if you wanted to, though the blood is probably dangerous.
They're training their kids.
Bacon.
Yes.
Where's your bacon, Dad? Oh, I ate some already. Don't lie. You have some bacon, Dad.
I don't like when you lie, Papa.
Can I say about the bacon? They are establishing very early on that Aaron Taylor Johnson is willing to lie to his son, even if it's just about bacon. Establishing he's willing to,
but it's a sort of a
truths. But he's doing it in that case to kind of be a good dad.
A white lie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's also showing that there's limited resources in this community. We see a lot of signs saying like, "Oh, be mindful. We're low on resources.
General store. Take what you need."
Yeah, and like someone's using the shower and says, "Please be quick," because maybe water is scarce and this kind of thing. So there's great world building in these details too. I think
when Spike starts a fire later, you are like, "Oh, you just like ruined like a year of these people's lives."
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Like why?
Well,
that's true. Yeah.
So
but
extreme.
It is this kind of traditional society where there is also, we learned today is the day for the coming of age, like the first hunt, like killing the lion.
Out to the mainland.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the bacon thing, like seeing like, oh, you're having bacon for breakfast. Like that's like the rare thing because bacon meat is so scarce, protein. They're eating eggs a lot.
Yeah.
So they probably have a lot of chickens that are just hatching eggs all the time.
Yeah. So the world building of this village is great.
Their kids. Yeah.
I'd be in the fucking best shape of my life. I'd be eating eggs all the time, getting so much cardio.
Building stuff, yep.
Seem like they have a lot of alcohol though for their parties. Though, like a lot of beer. Brewing a lot of beer there.
A lot of beer, which I like too. I'm here for that.
But they're training
all the
their
children
kids,
are trained
from
to
a
be
young
archers,
age.
or the boys. The boys specifically. That no girls are doing archery.
Yeah, again, it's sort of that trad wife thing where you see the girls are like all in dresses and stuff and like doing housewife stuff.
I think you mean putting on fake zombie masks in delusional dream states while putting down punch bowls.
Yeah. So you mentioned, Jacob, that in the trailers you're like thinking there's going to be some cult element, and in the trailers we're thinking that's going to be Ray Fiennes, but this is the cult. And like
this seems like
the cult. I think there's a cult at the end too, which is the
Yes, but I agree with what Mike's pointing out that you could call this sort of idyllic lifestyle and this emphasis on what are our rules? Do you follow our rules? It's like Spike is technically raised in a cult. It seems.
Yeah, and I want to bring up.
There's really no alternative to like this lifestyle in this community because it's like either that or you go out in the wilderness and
mainland and die. But their values and stuff are forced upon everybody that lives there. And I want to talk about our star of this movie, Alfie Williams, who plays Spike, because he carries this movie.
He's great.
Because at some point Aaron Taylor Johnson isn't in it, right?
Right.
Well, is this the best kid performance we've ever seen?
I mean, think so.
Insane.
It's really good, and I think Danny Boyle is good at directing kid actors, child actors, and he gets a great performance out of Alfie Williams. Who it's risky to base like your whole movie on a child actor's performance, and if he wasn't good, like this movie would have suffered for it. But I think he totally nails it and carries the movie. So
there's that thing people say about like, well, young actors now have cell phone face, that they've like seen a cell phone, so they're like ruined for parts like this. This kid has, I want to see a cell phone face. Like, how is he so sincerely selling the stuff of like, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you explain it to me a little more?
The Swedish guy.
What's delivery?
And the way this is structured, so it's like he's in the whole movie, but the first act is like him and Aaron Taylor Johnson. The second act is him and Jodie Comer.
Mhm.
And then the third act is like him alone, and like him and Ray Fiennes, and then like him alone.
Yeah.
So it's like he's the only constant throughout the movie, but it's really like it's split in a way where it's like after a certain point you don't see Aaron Taylor Johnson again really for the whole movie, and then it's just
Right.
like the boy and his mom in that relationship, and then you don't see her after a while, and it's just the boy by the end of it, which is like, yeah, this kid is doing some heavy lifting with the movie.
Yeah,
is
and
now a
that's one of those things when it's like take your expectations and throw them out the window, because if you're expecting fighting zombies and shit, it's like they just say no. We're doing like a weird coming of age, like
Yeah.
adventure in this post-apocalyptic world, and it's on the shoulders
Right.
of Alfie Williams. It's incredible.
Yeah. And this community, like, yeah, again, you're seeing just enough of the community where you have questions about things. You want to see more of like how this community runs. But it's, again, the writing is so good. The world building is so good that it's like gives you just the right amount to like, you have an idea of what the society is like, the rules. When they go outside, the dad showing the kid how to shoot zombies with his arrows and tactics and things like that. And then them coming back. It's like the perfect amount of information in this first act to like set up the whole movie.
And Alex Garland has said in the past, I think Mike, maybe you told us this, or Jacob, maybe you mentioned this on a previous episode, that the fast zombie thing was him being like, well, actually, I was a huge Resident Evil fan, and it's sort of
Yes.
like spun around now that like, yeah, again, The Last of Us is now like a zombie show based on a zombie game that's based on like zombie tropes, like 28 Days Later, that's based on zombie games. It's like all this zombie or
Which was based on
like
George
eating
Romero.
itself or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's an Ouroboros of influences.
The way that he delivers dialogue where you don't get annoyed by it sounding like a tutorial in a video game where Aaron Taylor Johnson's saying things like, tell me about the causeway. The causeway, it separates us from the mainland. The tide comes up once a day, where you're getting the rules of the universe
Great
and being like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
into this. But it's so perfectly set up of they're going over it because that's the whole point of the Hunter's Day that he's going out on. It's like he
Right.
needs to know this stuff, and if he doesn't, then he's not fucking prepared for the world that they live in.
Exactly.
This kid is 12 years old, and they kind of set up like, oh, usually we wait till they're 14,
ready.
15 to come out. Oh, he's ready. So yeah, the
He's
kid is
ready.
learning with the audience about these rules and things. So it's a perfect way to
Which
set
is a
that
brilliant
up. And I think-
screenwriting trick.
Yeah. Again, Alex Garland, we're all big fans of him, and you can
Insane.
see the veteran screenwriter at work here.
I learned so much from him. I have so many of his screenplays in print, and they're fucking phenomenal reads. Fucking
Nice.
Annihilation, and it's based on a book, but it's so fucking good on the page too. It's incredible.
Ex Machina,
Oh, I love
wrote
Ex Machina.
Dread, maybe even directed Dread, kind of uncredited. Sunshine, again, of course, another Danny Boyle film. So,
The
big
Beach.
fan of Alex Garland.
So yeah,
The Beach.
no, this opening though, yeah, we get from the POV and we're buying into it. We're like, okay, yeah, the world is ended. We need to know how to use a bow and arrow. We need to kill the zombies. We're like, okay, yeah, I kind of agree with what Aaron Taylor Johnson is teaching him. And then when we get to the party and he starts exaggerating and cheating on his wife, then we're like, well, wait a minute.
Yes.
Now we're starting to have questions about what we've learned, just like
Yes.
Alfie.
We're getting to the mainland, and we're getting incredible lines like, it just goes on forever, doesn't it? Like this, it's so big, and
days
like
without
this,
seeing the
all this
sea.
setup of like
Mhm.
what the themes again are, and like the world, and like being exposed to stuff. And guys, I gotta say, I'm getting terrified and let down where I'm going like, oh, this is what this movie is. They're doing like a Last of Us thing, the dad and kid, against the world,
Right.
that whole genre that we've talked about.
Right.
They're kind of late to the game.
Low
This is
game.
what you're
Only for the
coming
first
back
third
for.
of the movie, right? It
Yeah,
totally
and I'm like,
changes.
oh, okay. I guess the whole movie is going to be them trying to get back home. And I was kind of like very much settling in to be
Yeah.
like, all right, here's the little adventure film that we're in for. And then again, cinematography's happening.
It looks
We're
great.
getting intercuts with the trailer stuff, the boots on the ground. It's already happening as they're crossing the bridge. You're seeing Nazi images while you're seeing night vision shots of zombies that are scarier than the zombies you're seeing, like ripping people apart and like scaring us. we skipped over the mom. Let's talk about her real quick.
Yeah.
But also in these sequences, you're like getting her with eyes that are like blown out from the night vision. And she's saying
Right.
stuff like, "I'm
Again,
dead, Spike. Spike, I'm dead." And I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah, again, to talk about the editing, the montagey editing of this movie,
Yeah.
it's hard to describe. Like, yeah, it cuts different things in. It's weaving this Rudyard Kipling poem, boots moving up and down again.
Yeah.
With like soldiers marching, and then like medieval British people like firing bows and stuff, and it's kind of all connected together.
And then shots of like deer, and then shots of
Yeah.
like zombies, and then shots of like Spike walking around.
Right. It's like, yeah, it's very like experimental. Like it's almost like a music video editing or something like that, where it's like it's not something you see in like mainstream filmmaking a lot.
No, and I like it a lot. And again, who invented montage filmmaking? I think like this is playing into the toxic masculinity vibe. We get to it where it's like we first think this is a good idea, but then with the montage, they're saying he's being indoctrinated into the cycle of violence of the island under the protecting from the enemy from outside, right? That's the lie that he's being sold. We have to kill them. And we get a different philosophy later with Ray Fiennes. But I think that's what they're attempting to communicate is this is just boots, boots, boots. This is the cycle of violence, and Spike's being pulled into it.
Soldier.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, it's again so British, where it's like tied into the history of this country and like this, the medieval archers and World War II and all this stuff. And it's like everything that England has gone through and everything they've done in the past, and like imperialism and all this stuff too. And
they literally go from an island to a mainland. They leave an island and go to mainland and then decide they must kill the dehumanized enemy. Right. It's very imperial coded. And I like that it's doing that, but it's subtle. It's like, or it's
again,
not
like
with the montage.
The dad teaching the son how to be a man, so to speak, how to kill your prey,
But he's not wrong about survival, but the attitude, is wrong, right?
Yeah. It's the filmmaking is subtle, Mike, like you're saying, but it's also that thing where it's like, like montage, intercutting, like building themes around just like other images and like putting them together and stuff. It's like, those are all tricks you learn in film school, and then you stop using them, and you're almost like the audacity and bravery to be a man at his age and his career to be like, let's just like make this thing look fucking weird and experimental and fucking cool. And narratively where we're at now, so these two men are out on their journey.
We've
right
crossed
on
the
this
threshold.
We've crossed the threshold. We get this camera shot now again to just set up what things look like. I don't know if this is a cell phone on the top of the first zombie's head that they're going to meet, but this is one of those slitherers, these crawlers that we sort of explained before. And it's a POV shot that's shifting and Dutch angle tilted, but it also seems to be timed differently. It's just,
there's a lot.
I wanted trying to explain to people, it looks like nothing you've ever seen before.
Truly.
And again, like you said, Danny Boyle experimenting with like consumer cameras and cheap, cameras for filmmaking stuff, which, Steven Soderbergh has messed with that stuff as well in his career. Like other directors have done it. But for like a huge sort of blockbuster sort of movie like this that's expected to make hundreds of millions of dollars, like it's again, the audacity to film it this way.
But he's like, if I did it with a DV cam, I could do it with an iPhone.
Right. The iPhone is the DV cam of today, really, where it's like,
and he's right.
Yeah, totally right.
And so this movie is primarily filmed on an iPhone 15. I wanted
they had
to send
cinema lenses and shit, but yeah,
there's a lot of gear that goes on top of it, and I mean, iPhone cameras look so much better now than DV cams in the 2000s, right? Like digital.
We just need an 8K sensor.
A long way, right? Yeah. But I wanted to send you this image of behind the scenes where they have this like Matrix rig.
Oh yeah.
On a zombie. I don't know if you saw this, with like a bunch of iPhones on it to shoot a zombie, and it's like this ring around this zombie. It's sort of like a Matrix like setup.
Yeah, like 30 of them in an arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, damn, they're doing some crazy shit on this
Well,
movie.
because that's
It's the same cinematographer as the first
Anthony
Dude.
Dodmantle. Yeah.
That's super sick because there's a thing that they do when we see Spike shoot in the air when they shoot the zombies. They use that rig and the camera will like freeze and do a matrix and then the arrow shoots
Yeah.
into him. And it's like
Yeah.
it's such a weird choice and they do it a lot, but it just works with this movie.
That's so true. That's so
Right.
cool.
It's
Maybe
so
it's-
strange.
Obviously, The Matrix, when it came out, was so revolutionary with what they were doing with cameras and stuff. It'd be so much easier to do today with the way, with the way digital filmmaking has come in the last
Mhm.
20 years, where it's like, yeah, you can just put a bunch of iPhones on this rig now. It's way easier than these big bulky cameras.
And they're like,
things
we could
that.
take it out into nature easier. But then the use of that technique made me think, and I always loved reading into stuff too much, but the use of a matrix technique to show when an arrow hits something, it's like playing into the propaganda of, isn't violence cool, Spike?
Yeah.
Because that's what the
Yeah.
Well, it
Matrix did.
gives
Like,
you-
isn't violence cool, guys? It's using
Right.
like
That's the
meta
thing, like, this-
language.
This movie gives you all the zombie kills that you want in like the first 30
Yeah.
minutes, where they're shooting. Every time they shoot him with an arrow, it's like this slow motion, like it freeze frame, where it's like has the blood spurting out. It's like, yeah, that's fucking sick, man.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
And then like in an hour later, you're dealing with this like cancer drama. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, is this the same movie?
It
But, like-
still will have moments where it's like, here is a cut montage of Sneak Attack, her doing some violence, that's extreme. And like you said,
Right.
Jacob, that shows you like every way you'd want a zombie to die, where they're like, never forget what this movie's about, which is about the cost of violence. And you're like, right,
Yeah.
I know it is,
Yeah.
but you're making me think about so many other things.
There's
Yeah.
plenty of gore, yeah, and like heads getting ripped off. Like you will get that if you want that from this movie. But I just think to like, yeah, use the visual language to be like, yeah, violence is cool when that's what Spike is being taught. It's like this meta layer, I think, of filmmaking that they're doing, and I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I
Yeah.
love it.
And it introduces you to the world where it's like, okay, these are the slow moving zombies that crawl on the ground and eat worms and stuff. You can kill them pretty easily. Now we're getting attacked by a group of runners. We're kind of getting overwhelmed. We're having to use our tactics where we have a 2-man sort of defense where one person
Drop
shoots
back,
while the other
yep.
kind of drops back. Oh no,
2-man
Spike's
guard.
missing a lot because he's nervous. Then they have to go in a house, hide until dark, and then you're like, oh no, are they going to get back to the mainland? Is that what the whole movie is going to be? It's that,
Yeah,
like you
like
said, the
Colin
two
said.
of them trying to survive and get back to their community, because they've got this causeway to the island that's underwater during high tide, so they can only go during low tide. All this world building stuff is explained to us, but they do
Also,
end up.
never once does he say, but I want to get back to the party. He says, I want to get back to mom. He keeps
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
True. But up to this
And-
point, like we're being endeared to Aaron Taylor Johnson. Like I said, like this is all being like, yo, he's teaching him survival skills. He's teaching him how to hunt. He's like, you don't know what frisbee is? You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this.
And
like he is being good dad.
I love that moment, and it makes me dispute the conversation he has later where he's directly asked if his father is silly. His
Mhm.
father is silly. He does say that frisbee thing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You'd love
Maybe
a
it's like,
frisbee.
You're gonna love this.
Spike not really understanding
Yeah.
that his dad's being silly or something, or
He sees him
Spike
as
being too
overly
serious.
stoic and
Yeah.
borderline abusive, and he is abusive.
Yeah,
and
one-
other
one
things we
later.
discover as we.
But he has-
But we're
you have to
getting
be firm in
information again.
this society where it's like, every decision could be life or death, when you're out in
Yes.
the mainland.
Right.
You have to be serious.
But then he's
So
like,
they
well, when they get to the
well,
house
there's-
too. Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna stop stepping
Well-
on your lines.
sorry, they're being watched by like one of these alpha zombies that we learned are like smarter and stronger than the
Bigger
normal zombies, where
Mhm.
they seem to have some kind of intelligence. They're like, yeah, they're big strong guys, dicks out, swinging
Mhm.
in the wind.
Harambe style.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some say that the virus works on them like steroids. I don't
Yeah.
know
I
what
don't know what
steroids
steroids.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So they have to wait, and they're like, "Oh, the tide's still kind of high. It's about shin deep. We can still make it past. We can walk
Fuck it,
through the
let's
water
go."
though." Yes,
Yeah.
they're booking it down this causeway. This zombie's chasing them. They get to the gates. They're like, "Look, we're clean. We're clean. Look at our eyes." So they get let in, and just in time, they get back to the community.
We
Yeah,
just to comment again on the filmmaking style. we have been seeing intercut montages of them setting up this party, talking
Yeah.
about how you have to be here later for this party. We've
Mhm.
started to hear someone reciting a speech at this party, thanks, other things. And that's intercut with them running for their lives and the stakes being so on the line
Yeah.
and using this flaming arrow and calling for help. And as a community coming together to save these two people, it's the only thing that can get them. And then the reveal that it's them at the party the whole time. Those voices you've been hearing, that setup, they did make it. It wasn't this
Right.
horrible thing. And again, in my seat, I'm going like, one, a movie can be like this. This is incredible. Like, I feel like my mind is expanding in every way that I've ever seen a film.
Mhm.
And two, I'm like, but wasn't that what the whole movie was supposed to be? What the
Right.
fuck is it going to be now?
Now we're
and
done.
then
Right.
the lie starts. Oh, you should
Yeah.
have seen Spiky Boy. So this big motherfucker, probably one of the strongest, runners we've ever seen. He's like, pow, next, two are coming. Dad, don't worry. Pow, pow, pow.
See,
And Spike's
okay.
going, I don't
The
know any
Giant
of that.
Slayer.
Oh, he's the giant slayer. Then we got the big one at the end.
But
Yep.
this is interesting because I didn't necessarily see this as a bad thing that the dad was.
It's
I thought
great.
he's
Not yet.
exaggerating
It's-
to
again,
sort of
it's-
talk
there's
up his
so much-
kid. Yeah.
I'm
This
still
whole
liking
film
him.
is about misunderstandings that literally a woman needs to say to a kid, I am dying of cancer. And she admits it at the end. And he's like, why didn't you just say that? Like, no one is telling this kid the truth. And he doesn't
Right.
understand that the truth isn't always the thing you need to be told about this kind of world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we should say, so like at the beginning of the movie, obviously it's set up that his mom has some kind of mysterious illness. She's
Oi.
bedridden. She gets confused. She's having headaches, nosebleeds. I wonder what that could be.
Memory kind of issues, almost.
Yeah.
Like
She
dementia.
has spells where she doesn't know what's going on.
Mhm.
And so you see the dad having to deal with raising the son, dealing with his sick wife in this whole community.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it explains everything that he does. As we see later, he's having an
No,
affair.
but it
but
does.
it makes it,
There's shades of gray.
yeah.
Right, but like
Right.
when he
Yes.
has to go up to help her,
He's
there's a
not a
moment.
villain.
No,
Yeah.
he did, but even in the very beginning, he takes a moment where he pauses at the bottom of the stairs, just for it to be
Yeah.
like, "Fuck!" Like you don't even see his face, but you can feel the weight of having to do this on him, and it's just a little moment, just a little single moment that they put in there.
Right.
Great
Yeah.
writing.
And he's having to do, like, you see him cooking breakfast in the morning. Like, he has to do everything
Every
to
day.
raise this kid because his wife is sick. So he's taking on double responsibility as the
He
parent.
has the hardest job of the village. He is the scavenger. He goes out. In my
Mhm.
mind, the implication was maybe she used to be his partner. Maybe that's how they, got together or whatever. And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
he's got no one, right?
Yeah,
Right. Dealing with his sick wife. So it's understandable in a way. Obviously, he's having an affair and things like that later, but it's not, I'm not saying he's a flawed
he's not
individual.
written as
Yeah.
the shithead dad. Like he's complex and full.
He's on an island where for the past 28 years, he has known 20 people, 30 people, and
Mhm.
basically let's be fair here, okay? Aaron Taylor Johnson is 35, let's say, right? So
yeah.
28 years later, that puts him in his late teens. Spike is
Yeah.
12 years old. Again, early 20s. He grew up in the apocalypse as a fuck up little moron who's not responsible to have a kid or a family or a life.
And maybe
Yeah.
finds this community, and it's like, well, this is working. I guess I'll buy in to this.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah,
It's just complex.
it's really
It's so
complex.
interesting.
I want to mention really quickly when they get back to the door, another little moment when they're like, "Look at our eyes, we're fine," and then the lady says,
Yes.
"Wait," and it's 20 seconds that she makes him wait, and I just love that
Right.
little detail, and then they let him in. But the
Yeah.
writing is
Well, of
incredible.
course,
I guess.
As we all know from 28 weeks later, if you have two different color eyes, there's a chance that you're actually immune to the
That's
virus.
That's
And you could become an asymptomatic carrier, but still spread it, of course.
yeah, of course.
If you bite somebody
or kiss them,
Yeah, or get your saliva on them or
or
blood.
kiss them. Oh,
that's a big plot
no.
point in 28 weeks.
Yeah.
which is not. I don't
But
love
your
it.
eye will get like bloodshot, but you don't have the rage symptoms. Yeah.
I'm not angry. Just kissy.
Right.
But yeah,
Like-
so they get back from his first day out, is
And
coming
the
of age
party.
for the big party. Everyone's having a great time.
They're giving him beer,
giving him beer
because he's a man
He's getting
now,
talked up by
according to
his
this.
dad's like, yeah, he was the giant slayer. He's doing all this shit, and he's like, what are you talking about? I was like missing everything. I was so scared. And he's like, no, you were great. You were.
He's
doing
so
great."
modest too. He's so modest, my kid. Yeah.
This kid. The moment where Aaron Taylor Johnson's on the dance floor and Spike is having that beer and he's looking around and Aaron Taylor Johnson looks around to make sure Spike doesn't see him and then him and that girl go off. Again, I'm
Yeah.
like, I've never seen you pull off acting like this before. You need to work with Danny Boyle for the rest of your life, dude.
Right.
Yeah, man. But this is where we're starting to see Alf or Spike questioning things. He's like, "Why? I didn't do all that. Why is my dad doing this?" And then he goes out, pukes up the beer, and sees his dad, having an
He's his dad.
affair
Yeah.
with
And he's
Rosie.
like, wait, my dad's a liar.
Yeah.
Two things we
Yeah.
forgot. So now he's going to talk to his sort of
Well,
weapons master, arrow master, right?
We should talk about the fire that they see.
That's
right?
exactly what I want to set
Yeah.
up. So he
Yes.
saw this character earlier who brought him his bow. Now, in my mind, he loves Aaron Taylor Johnson's Jamie character. This guy, almost sort of a surrogate father, maybe even is his father, right? Maybe he was his number one student when he really taught archery back in the day. And now it's like, your son's old enough to go out on his first hunt? Time flies. I'm like your kooky grandpa. So that guy is entrusted with watching Isla, which is the mother character,
Yes.
the sick mother character. Now, Spike, as a good boy, even after seeing something devastating, like his father kissing another person, goes home and
back to
needs
his
to
house.
take care of his mother. So he
Yeah.
wakes this character up who says, "Oh, it's 20 past midnight. I didn't expect to see you. Oh, well, I just want to see
back
mom."
to your
And this is
party.
where he says, Jacob, and let's talk about this. By the way, Dad and I saw something that I want to ask you about. And
Yeah. Well, we should
what
talk
we
about.
was discussing earlier
So when
was
they
that
first saw
this
it-
fire. Yes.
Yeah, they first see this giant fire in the mainland. He's like, what's that? And he's like,
Oh.
that's probably old Doctor. What's his name?
Well, he says it's
Um,
nothing. He says,
right.
that's nothing. He's like, are you
He
sure?
tells that story about how they came upon him one
That's
time.
the next day when
and-
Spike asks him.
Okay, yeah. Okay, maybe I'm confusing
After he
the order
confronts
of
him about
things.
we saw a fire. You saw a fire, was it? Was it in the west side? It was. Oh, well, that couldn't be old Dr. Kelson still. What? But
Oh,
but
see
you
my
said all the
GP.
doctors were gone. What do
Yeah.
you mean? Oh, he was a doctor. Me GP even. But a
What's a GP?
strange man he is now.
Yeah.
What's a GP?
Yeah.
But he's gone crazy. I shouldn't tell you anymore. Sorry.
Oh, your dad doesn't want to talk
Probably.
about it. I shouldn't do
Didn't want
that.
to scare you.
Yep.
Yeah, so the next day he sort of asks his dad about, what's this doctor? He's like,
You said there weren't doctors. You want
Yeah.
mom to die. What?
You're gonna be with Rosie.
What? What the fuck are you asking me?
Yeah.
Right.
When he's so drunk and he gets in bed and he goes like, "Oh, Spike, what a great party we had!" And he gets like between his wife and son in their bed. I was like, "What a life Aaron Taylor Johnson has in this movie. That's so crazy."
yeah, he had a crazy night.
I fucked this woman. I slept outside. Let me just sneak back into the house real quick.
I woke up in a
Right.
field. Yep.
The son's not happy with him.
Nope.
But yeah, he's asking about this fire. So like, what's going on? Tell me about this doctor. He's like, well, so one time we came across him and
Flashback.
the stench of death was just overpowering, right? And
Mhm.
they get up to this hill, they look down and they see him. He's just got hundreds of bodies just lined up on the ground, and there's a big fire. And then he just looks up and he just waves at us like nothing's wrong. And we thought,
Like he
this
wanted us
guy's
to come over.
crazy. Yeah.
Ran.
We ran away. We never came back because he's
That was-
too weird.
15 years ago or something, he says.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So he's a crazy madman, and he's not a doctor because now Spike is like, well, if there's a doctor, she can help Ma. But Aaron Taylor
Right.
Johnson's perspective
And
is
that's the
he's
thing
a
is, like,
crazy
they-
maniac.
Yeah. They don't seem to have any doctors in this community, or they all died out earlier. There's no one that can really help the mom with this mysterious illness.
Hmm.
But the son wants to help the mom, obviously. So he knows there's a doctor out there. So he kind of devises this plan, right?
Yes.
To
Yeah, he
take his mom
finally.
to the
Okay.
mainland. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, we got
He sets a fire as a distraction, like you said. He sets some kind of shack on fire, which seems like a waste of resources. Bad idea,
Little
but
bastard.
he's just a kid, you know. He doesn't know
no.
better.
But I think we get that moment when he says, "I'll watch over mom at night." After the guy, he's like, "You go to the party, I'll stay here." He's kind of becoming, quote unquote, the man of the house because he knows his dad's a fuck up. And then when he confronts his dad and he pulls out the knife, and that's that moment Colin mentioned when he snatches it from him and looks like he's gonna fucking destroy Spike, and then he just gives him back the knife and punches the wall, and because he's like, "Get out of here! Just get away from mom! Get away from me! Fuck you, dad!"
What's all that noise? What's happening? Should we let's talk about Jodie Comer for a second, Jacob? Another Doctor Who, correct? She's the lady doctor.
No.
Comer?
That's not Jodie Comer. That's what's her name? Forget. Now.
Who is Jodie Comer, if I may ask?
Jodie Comer is an actress.
Bike Riders.
She's been in some stuff. Yeah, Bike Riders.
I've seen Bike Riders. Oh, she's the woman
Killing
from.
Eve.
I'm sorry, she's from Attack the Block.
Attack the Block. I haven't seen that, but she was in Killing Eve. She kind of, maybe that was one of her breakout roles where she plays like a serial killer. Opposite Sandra Oh, right? She was in The Last Duel. Free Guy. So she's been in horrible movie Free. Yeah.
I'm thinking of Jodie Whittaker.
Jodie
That's
Whittaker.
right.
Yeah, I was thinking of.
I'm mixing my British blonde Jodies. And she, I believe, actually, in fact, she's also the woman in Attack the Block.
Oh.
I don't know. I haven't seen that. I wouldn't know.
I think that's what got her Doctor Who.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
But Jodie Comer was not in Doctor Who, but she's been in some movies and stuff. Again, I think Killing Eve, which was a British show. She got a lot of rave reviews for her sort of sociopathic assassin character.
But now we get to the second phase of this movie, like Jacob said.
Yeah, so we see so basically the kid has this idea, oh, there's a doctor out there. I'm going to take my sick mom to the mainland. I'm going to create a diversion. We're going to leave the community, go to the mainland with my mother and take her to the doctor so that he can cure her, right?
And here's again where I very foolishly am like, well, I'm ahead of this movie. Like I see what's going on. The rest of this will be, he takes her to the doctor. I don't know who's going to play the doctor. The doctor says, you have to go get some medicine from a hospital. So then the kid forages for that, bumps into a cult. Ray finds, escapes, saves the day, and we fix her, and they go home. Like, what an interesting little adventure this will be.
Right.
Nope.
You're wrong, sir.
So by this point,
not close to anything that occurs in this
nowhere
film.
near.
Really? Because by this point, I was starting to think that Ray Fiennes was the doctor, because you see the little flashback, you kind of see him at a distance waving,
but he's in the gas mask still. Yeah, he has not come up with the iodine.
I was like, oh, that's definitely Ray Fiennes, I think. So by this point, I was like, yeah, that's probably Ray Fiennes. But yeah, so they take him to the mainland, or they go to the mainland. And
what are we doing, Spike? Ma, we're going for a walk.
Yeah.
Yes.
And your dad.
Confusing him with her dad, his granddad, who's dead, obviously, in this world. When I look into your eyes, I see my dad's eyes. You're a lot like him, and all this stuff.
My dad was silly. Is your dad silly?
Yeah.
No.
Which I love this stuff. It was really touching, some touching stuff here.
Adored it. It also it has like a sinister tone to it. The way where she speaks to herself, and like a large ghost does touch this small woman that we have, where you're like, almost kind of like a molestation, maybe, like something like it was just fascinating.
I thought like, oh, this woman is very obviously sick, could be dying,
but the role reversal, I mean, obviously, just to point out, it's so on the nose of like, oh, most of the time when we see these movies, it's adult and kid, and adult has to protect kid. The fact that it is a kid who has to take on the responsibility of being the adult to a mother who is a childlike brain and constantly calls him dad. I'm like, this is nothing I've ever seen before.
No, not at all.
Having these episodes, and it's this young kid having to care for his mother, his sick mother. It's very touching stuff, and you see like them resting for the night. He's like, "I'll take the watch," and then again he falls asleep. A slow zombie slowly creeping towards them as he sleeps. You think, "Oh
Let me
no, what's
slurp up those shoelaces.
Yeah.
a little tasty worm
Nice
to me?"
touch. And then
Yeah.
he'd spit it out. This isn't a worm. Disgusting.
That's not that delicious worm that I want. Oh, it's spaghetti.
Gross.
And again, yeah, there's sort of like some dream logic stuff where you're seeing like different visions and like this, figure
I'm
with a
dead,
mask
Spike.
stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so he falls asleep, he wakes up, he's like, "Oh, what happened?" There's the dead zombie beside him, and we see like in the night the mom woke up and like bashed this zombie's head in and
Saved
to
him.
protect her son. So she does have moments of
Lucidity.
lucidity where she's her old self again, right? So that's interesting.
No, what I love about this structurally is like we go out, like Colin said, we have the default adult protecting child in dangerous environment, but they establish like one, how far away we are from the fire, and two, just like how dangerous the world is. And then we reinsert with the dynamic flipped, just like Colin said, and it's like this is fucking brilliant. Because now I'm stressed the fuck out because it's
Yeah.
just Spike and his mom who it's going to have episodes like how are you going to be quiet? Like it's a really bad scenario.
Yeah, I was
I'm
like,
very
"There's
worried
no
about
way."
quiet. I'm like, she's gonna make noise. She's gonna,
Yeah.
she's
Right.
a burden. Yeah.
gonna
And
have
then
an
she
episode
saves
or something,
them.
it's gonna
They flip
pause.
that too.
Yeah, they
Brilliant.
flipped that, but it's like, yeah, as soon as they went to the mainland, I'm like, "There's no way this is gonna end well." Like we just saw how dangerous this place is. Spike like was literally his first day there yesterday, and now he's like taking the lead on this expedition. There's like no way this is gonna work out
And
well.
that's kind
Mom,
of like,
we'll just get lucky.
yeah, that's like a child's mentality. It's like, oh, it'll just work out. Like my dad's lying. I'm
Yeah.
pissed off. I'm gonna find the doctor. Like it's a very rushed decision. So he's still growing up. I think that's kind of the point of it too. Is this is not a good idea, but he does it anyway because
Yeah.
he loves his ma.
We then cut to
Cut
a
to.
group of military guys
Yeah.
running from zombies. You're like, now who are these guys?
Full military garb, like masked up helmets, semi-automatic
tactical
weapons,
gear.
unloading,
Fully auto
like killing
weapons.
stuff. Fully automatic, probably. Just
Running from zombies.
out of nowhere, and you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Who
Like,
are
who
they?
are these guys? We see again this alpha zombie who rips one of their heads out with their spine still attached, his finishing move.
Mhm.
Totally sick, nasty stuff here.
Yeah, they get trapped in a tunnel. You should never go into tunnels in 28 movies. Both of them
No.
have ended poorly when people
Right.
go into tunnels.
But again, it just shows you how dangerous these fast zombies are, where it's like they overpower this military unit so easily to the
Mhm.
point where there's one guy left. And
We'll
so
run
then
into
it
him
cuts
later,
back
yeah.
to it cuts back to the mom and kid. They end up having to run.
Oh,
They go like
what
inside
are we
a gas
doing?
station. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ma, run, get in here. You get the most stylized gas leak I've ever seen in cinema.
Yeah,
It
you see
was
like
like
this blue haze inside the gas station.
it's
Um,
that gas that keeps the alien eggs from
benzene.
hatching.
Seriously, ma.
Kind
Right.
of like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Visually.
benzene, right?
Yep.
Build up
Benzene
inside the
from the
yeah. And they're like, okay, we gotta
Get
get we gotta
down.
They're
So
fucked.
we
Yeah,
see-
they're getting overwhelmed. They're busting in. They're done for basically, hiding in this gas
Yeah.
station until
But luckily, this military guy shows up from the roof. He like opens the sunroof or whatever. He's like, get down, shoots at him, sets off this, gas explosion inside the gas station, which like totally blows up. Somehow doesn't, burn the kid and his mom to death, but kills all the zombies, I guess. So he saves them, right? And so then we meet Eric, the Swedish military guy who was stranded here with his
Hey, bro.
unit.
I'm Eric.
I'm from
Yeah,
Sweden.
I love this guy.
Yeah,
So
this
don't you
guy
like
was super
know
funny.
like what's gonna happen? Like you live here, right, man?
So we're learning more world building stuff about England. Obviously, it was quarantined. We hear about patrol ships on the coast. Earlier, Aaron Taylor John says, "Oh, there's a patrol boat, probably French or something."
French bastards.
French bastards. Yeah. We've seen this. Oh yeah, I was in the Swedish Navy. Our boat sank and we ended up here, which is not where I wanted to be, because once you step foot in England, you can never leave because it's so quarantined that you're basically stuck here. So he was with his unit. He's the only one left. The rest of them died. Now he's like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Well, I'm taking my mom to a doctor.
He's like, oh, great. How does that help me? I saved you guys. Like,
I wasted
Right.
bullets on that.
Yeah. I'm not leaving her. But then, so she's like passed out at this point from benzene and whatever. So he's carrying her too, until they need to take a rest, and that's when you get the iPhone. But when she stands up, she's like, "You can walk." Yeah,
he has so many funny lines in this. My theater was cracking up. So when there's a scene where he shows him his iPhone. He's like, "What's that?" Oh, it's sort of like a radio. Do you know what a radio is? No.
No.
You know what online is? No.
Well, it's a brick, but for another second, it's
yeah.
What's a truck?
I'm on 1%. But let me show you my girlfriend. My theater was losing it in this scene. What's wrong with it? Oh, we have someone like that in our village. She's allergic to shellfish. Her lips sort of puff up when she eats shellfish.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with her. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
My theater was fucking dying laughing at this scene.
Boy, the people I saw this with did not like this movie.
Really?
My crowd was cold.
Ooh,
really?
Yeah.
That's a
this
bummer.
scene was getting some laughs.
This Eric part, I think, was needed.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it brings a little comedy to it. Where you just meet this random Swedish military guy.
You think about this guy's life, and again, just to foreshadow
Should
where
have been
we're
a
going
delivery
here.
driver. What's a
So
delivery
he says
driver?
all this stuff, but like,
Yeah.
okay, I was in the Navy. Shit, a disaster. Boat sank. All right, we accidentally touched shore. Okay, zombies. Kill, kill, kill. Well, that's all right. I met these people. I'll get out of this. Wait, what are they doing? Wait, why are they birthing a zombie baby? Wait, why is she sick and like saying things to this kid? Oh God, I gotta get out of this. Like, this
why is
isn't
she
right.
keeping the baby? What are we
Like,
doing?
you would immediately be like, oh no, they're like cannibal monster cult people. Like, I gotta get out of this.
They're like, everything they said about this island was correct. It sucks.
You fucking natives are insane, man. Natives.
Yeah. For sure.
This guy was kind of a dick, but also you understand, like, his life is going very badly at this point.
Everyone who's the bad guy of this movie, you completely understand why they make every choice that they do.
And the messaging here is literally, he's like, I joined the Navy to act like a tough guy, and now I wish I drove a fucking truck. Like, the military-industrial complex is bad.
It's like, my friend's a delivery driver. What's a delivery driver? Oh, it's like someone who drives around and delivers packages. Do you have something like that?
You order online.
No, I don't know what that is.
What's online?
Do you know?
Nothing
do you know
you're
what
saying
online
is making sense to me.
And I said to him, "You got to do something with your life." And here I am, about to die, and he's still driving around stuck in traffic, living. Like, he points out this constant thought of like
carrying the mom on his back. He's like, "You want to carry your mom a little bit?"
But it's but. Don't you guys see that that's also so much echoing what Aaron Taylor Johnson's view of his life is? It's like, I work a job. I also have life or death. Like, what am I going to do with my life before death? Later, we meet this guy who's like, you need to constantly be thinking about that we live a life hand in hand with death. And it's like, oh, Danny Boyle, Alex Garland.
Yeah.
Like relax. I'm like losing my mind watching this.
And at the same time, she's thinking about her dad who has passed. You know, it's like, whoa. Yeah.
If my dad was still here, you wouldn't be treating me like this. She says that to Jamie at one point.
She keeps, she's seeing her dad in her son Spike and thinking, having these episodes where she's thinking he's her dad, but also just saying like, oh, your eyes, like, you remind me so much of him.
And they've yet to underline their thesis. We still have to wait. Like, they're setting it all up to be this like perfectly built 3-course meal.
That perfectly built pile of
bones,
skulls.
I want to mention quickly.
Go ahead.
Just the gas station. It's like it was a Happy Eater, which I guess was a chain that like ended in like the early 2000s. So that's a reference. Also, it was a Shell, which artfully the S fell off, so it just said Hell on it.
Very good.
So
a lot of British references that Americans audiences aren't going to understand in the same way, but I'm sure British people are loving it.
2002, baby.
But yeah, the Swedish guy joining their trek for a little while. They take a little break. They're sitting in the field, kind of talking. He's showing a picture of his ex. Oh, what's wrong with her lips? Blah blah blah. Very funny stuff. Again, sort of commentary on social media and stuff. Something this kid has no concept of. What? There's pictures on your little device there? That's insane to me. I've never seen anything
Do
like
you have
that.
pictures? Some of the older people have some older ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
So he has seen pictures in his life before.
But he's
Right.
never
But
been
you're
taken.
basically
He's never been
showing-
photographed. Yeah.
Yeah, you're showing a medieval peasant a smartphone. Like his
Yes.
brain would explode. It's like giving a medieval person hot Cheetos and then them just dying
Yeah.
immediately.
I like to
it's
think
a
his
culture shock.
Yeah, I like to think
Yeah.
the photo was just like a random IG model too. Like it was never his girlfriend.
Well, again, there's
Yeah.
details that they're interesting where he's like, oh, this is my ex, or this is my fiance, or I guess ex-fiance now. So where you're like, oh, I guess they broke up or something. So you're learning more about this guy.
I think he's just implying because he's about to die here or live
Oh,
on
I
the
guess
side.
that's
of
true,
the
yeah.
Damn, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he also keeps asking, "What's your village like?" He is thinking,
Yeah.
like, "Well,
I
I
guess,
guess
I'll have to come
this is
back
it
to
for
your
me
village.
now here. Yeah, like I guess I'll have sex with some sort of moron zombie woman."
I'll be the smartest person in the
Right.
village.
People are so
Um,
strange. He's like, oh yeah, I know you guys are like inbred or whatever, but I don't think that you could be her dad. It just doesn't make sense to me when he's asking.
Would
like,
you,
why-
if you guys were
Oh,
Eric
yeah.
and you survived and you made it back to the village, would you immediately be like, "Well, I should be the leader"? Like I know like the most stuff. Like
I know a
like,
lot of
came
stuff. You
from
guys
a
don't
place
know what
with,
the
like,
internet
stuff.
is.
Yeah,
It's
you're
the
like
idiocracy.
dumb.
Yeah. No,
Right, I
think
have a
so.
smartphone. It's out of batteries. It's useless
Yes.
now, but it
We
is a
need
smart-
to. So here's first order. We need to figure out electricity. I'm not putting
Yeah.
up with any of this. Is what I
Yeah.
would.
But
be
it's also that
saying.
meme of like, if you had like a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court situation or
Yes.
whatever, where you went back to
Yeah.
medieval times, you'd be like, oh, what's electricity? Explain that to me. Oh, I can't really explain it to you. I know what it is. I don't know how to make it work. I'm not a
It
scientist.
bugs me that you're asking. Is what I would say to somebody. I'd be like, you should just
Yeah.
assume that I know.
It's magic.
But you
Um,
realize how useless you would be in trying to explain technology to like
But-
medieval people.
That's why the best movie that's ever done it is Army of Darkness, when Bruce Campbell goes back in time to medieval times, and he just so happens to have a chemistry notebook in the back of his car, and he's like, "Don't worry,
Right.
we've got this."
yep.
Yeah, I would be like, there's something with like a key on a kite that with like lightning. Benjamin.
We just got to get that up there into this light bulb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I wish I had some kind of engineering background, but I don't. I only know useless things like pop
Joules,
culture,
watts,
media.
amps. I would be saying those words.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Right, but what are they?" And I'd be like, "You know what they are."
Exactly.
Yeah,
You'd be like the storyteller because you would know about all the movies that came out and stuff.
Yes.
right.
It'd be like
It'd be like, yeah, I
Rain
would
of
explain
Fire.
the plot of Star Wars. Yeah,
Rain of Fire. Exactly. Yeah.
right.
But it would be like this shitty kid. He'd be like, "So Jersey Shore season 4. Here's the thing," and he'd be like running through that whole thing, and they'd all be like,
Yeah,
"These people, they don't want to work. Don't they realize they need to help each other?" No, they're just all about gym tan, sex
Laundry.
night.
It's
Yeah,
T-shirt time.
laundry.
Yeah. Um,
yeah. I would
Yeah, I
be
love
so
Eric.
useless at medieval times. Like, yeah, I'd be like, look, electricity. You guys get it. Come on, sparks.
well, like this, it's technology that is sufficiently advanced seems like magic to
yeah,
primitive,
right,
more
exactly.
primitive cultures.
But
Right?
like trying to recreate it would be
No, I couldn't.
impossible. Like with my Boy Scout background, I could like maybe like start a fire, and they'd be like, "Well, we already know how to start a fire."
They're already.
Like,
I don't know how to
okay.
brew beer. They know how.
Yeah.
We already know how to start a fire. They immediately just cast you out. I think the closest I could get is if I had his gun and I made it there, even if I was out of bullets, I would double down on the lie that I'd be like, "This thing's loaded, watch out."
This is my
But I-
boomstick.
Also, yeah, exactly. I'm also pretty sure. I don't know that they'd be bullets, but I could make something else that this thing could shoot. Don't you think you could at least do that?
Well, you need
right?
gunpowder. You need like
Ooh.
sulfur.
You don't just need like metal balls
saltpeter.
or something, right? I don't
Well,
know.
you need gunpowder. You need like saltpeter and
Saltpeter.
chemicals.
If you had
No,
gunpowder,
I think you just need like a
You
hammer.
make a
dude.
musket.
yeah, Yeah, well, yeah, you couldn't make cartridges. You could make it a musket,
Yeah.
maybe. If shotgun shells can be refilled after they're
Right.
fired,
Again,
so
the
Right.
people in this village,
put
the
rocks
older
in them.
people would be like, we were alive in
We
society.
had
We know what a
guns.
gun is.
Yeah,
I
true.
know what that is. I know what that clicking noise means. I know what
Yeah.
its safety is. And Spike would be like, I don't know what that is.
That's funny. Justice for Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Eric.
Poor
It was
guy.
really
Alas,
enjoyable
poor
his
Eric.
time
Okay,
with
so
us.
alas,
Poor Eric.
So let's talk about his final moment of time with us. So he's surprised that the mom can walk. She
She can walk?
leads their caravan for a minute. She sort of has the
Yes.
second wind that the lead archer has talked about. Oh, she was herself today. She walked, 1,000
We
miles.
went out into
As
the
you said, Jacob.
fields.
Sometimes, yeah, exactly. She is herself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She hears a noise. She's
Right.
drawn to it. It is a
An abandoned
train.
train.
It is a
Mhm.
derailed
They spot a
British,
train.
Yeah.
they spot a train, Mike. They do some heroin real quick, and they spot a train. And she goes inside. She's drawn to this noise. Now, this
Ewan
is a
McGregor's
character
there.
we haven't mentioned yet, that we have seen once before. In these
Mm.
weird sort of montages of the world, we
Mhm.
saw a pregnant zombie wearing kind of like a nightie, waddling around, clearly struggling to go through with the effects of the virus, but also from the physical handicaps that came with being pregnant. I don't know how this thing could be pregnant. Maybe an alpha with its huge
I have
dick
some
with
questions
fucking
about
nose.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
Was
guess.
the
Samson.
Samson going around banging
Yeah.
these infected,
And a
rage-infected
character
pigs?
later will say, the miracle of the placenta. I've often wondered if this was the case. Which
Yeah.
truly,
Can't wait to
I'm
talk
just
about
sitting
this.
there going like, but wasn't the baby being fed like a diet of like brains and like blood and like
And remember, they're not
body
zombies. They're
tissue?
rage-infected
Ah.
humans.
There's a lot
the
of raw venison.
placenta. A miracle.
Right.
But yeah, so the mom comes across a pregnant, rage-infected zombie on this
Yeah.
train who's literally giving birth as they come across her.
Mhm.
Right. So we come, and the mom is like basically midwifing this zombie
Yeah.
and calming her, putting her
And-
hands up, right? And yeah,
And I'm having a journey with this movie. And during this moment, I'm like, I don't know if I can come back to this thing. This is one of the biggest swings I've ever seen in this style
It's wild.
blockbuster.
Yeah.
The second
And
biggest
I
swing.
cannot believe what I'm seeing. It's the second biggest swing after those big swinging dicks.
Yes, correct. No, but when this scene started, I'm like, whoa, because it is a huge risk. Like, what is this? But then when you see it's this respect of Isla being like mother to mother, like there's
Yeah.
humanity, because these aren't zombies. We keep
Yes.
saying it, but they're human beings that are sick, and we'll talk about that more
Right.
later. So she is like seeing the humanity of a mother and helping her. It's like, man, this is
and we
really
actually see
working
her
when it
like
shouldn't.
calm this rage zombie, which the
Yeah.
They clasp hands.
overpowering the rage virus
Hey.
somehow, which we've never seen before,
Fucking do
to the point where
Kegels.
she's not attacking, right?
With
Until
love.
after the baby gives
They
birth.
just, with empathy. Now we've gotten a line from Jamie. Oh, Spike, the virus messes with their brains. No brains, not a human. No soul.
They don't have a
Says
soul.
that stuff.
Yeah.
This is this counterpoint that the mom has reached through the soul to this thing. A baby comes out that is pure. It is
Mhm.
not
Not
infected.
infected. Yeah.
Bang,
it's a
bang,
normal
bang, bang,
baby.
bang.
The
Eric,
Swedish guy's
who
like
sees this,
freaking the fuck out.
like, I
put that
I
baby
don't
down."
appreciate any of you doing any of this, basically, is what
Yeah.
he needs to say. Your whole world is disgusting to me.
Yeah.
I'm from Sweden, a normal country where we have the internet, and now I'm
Yes.
seeing a rage zombie give birth on a train.
and they're totally cool with it. Like,
yeah.
I hope I'm not ahead in 5 seconds.
yeah, because he
Right.
does. The zombie reverts back to rage mode and he shoots it, and I think that is probably what attracts the alpha.
Yes.
To
100%.
And then
Well,
he's
we
freaking
do-
out, saying like, "Put the baby on the ground. I'm going to shoot it. Like, if you don't put it out, like, I'm going to shoot all
gonna
of
shoot
you
you
like, in,
guys,
like,
yeah.
5 seconds."
Yes.
Yeah. He kind
No,
of
you're
backs
not.
up.
Ma,
and
get
then
behind me.
Mhm.
Samson, the alpha, is on top of the train. And then reaches down, fucking does his finishing move, of course, rips his head off.
Spine connected.
Alas, poor Eric, you know.
Alas for Eric.
Alas, poor
Now,
Eric.
Spike and Isla take off. Now, this maybe leads credence to the theory that Samson is the father. He takes a couple steps, sees the pregnant zombie, stops, calculates,
Lifts her up. Yeah.
reacts, then
Right.
really goes after them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
Like that was his
implicit.
zombie partner or something.
Well,
Yeah.
they said, I think Danny Boyle in an interview, I can't remember, but there was something to where it's like they revert to a primal state, and making babies is a very primal activity because we see a little
Yeah, they're
baby of
essentially
the
like
fat
animals.
one too. Yeah,
Now, there's no
Right.
way that kid can get the virus, right?
the baby that was born.
Yeah, I would assume that means you're immune. If
Well,
your
it's an
your
Ellie
dad's
situation.
an alpha, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's an Ellie
Mm.
situation.
Yeah. Possible.
100%.
I mean, we saw in 28 Weeks Later that is still canon to this movie, even though they kind of like
Brush it
don't
under the
mention
rug.
that one. Yeah,
want it
but
to
there
be.
are like people that can be immune to this virus, so we know that.
But would they be a carrier if they got bit? We don't know
yeah.
that. But you
Right.
think that with the message of purity that they're trying to communicate, I think this baby would be all right.
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
know.
normal human baby.
Later, a character
Um,
will say, "Oh, of course, you've done all this to bring this baby to me, right?" And Spike
Like,
goes,
"No,
"Actually,
I kinda
no,
just
that's
ran
not
into
why
this."
I did any of this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's a
but they're getting-
newborn. Yeah,
it's
we
a
just
newborn.
saw it be born. Yeah,
Newborn.
yeah.
Yep, we know.
this is a baby.
This has,
Um,
we're
let's
not
meet
here
that
about the baby.
character.
That's something you don't need to worry about. But they're getting
That's
chased
something
by
else.
Samson.
Yeah.
They almost get killed by the alpha.
He's still got
It's
Eric's
looking
head in his
bad.
hand
Yes.
Yeah.
while he's chasing him.
His
Then
trophy.
We hear
Right.
a whoop. A little spike goes out, a different spike than our spiky
Yes.
boy, a little dart,
Yeah.
and nails the alpha, who comes to a complete stop still. And we see
Tranquilized it, basically.
somebody dropping a blow dart from their mouth,
Yeah.
a completely orange, bald,
Bald.
muscular Ray Fiennes, one of the greatest actors of our generations, which would be like if like Daniel Day-Lewis like slowly elevated himself out of a trash can wearing like a suit made of like
Hello
garbage.
there.
You're just like, what? Like truly as a viewer, you're like, oh no, what am I seeing? What is this?
Again, it just
Again,
keeps taking bigger and bigger swings in this section. It's just like, wait, whoa.
And he
hold on.
goes, hello, how are you, bud?
The most soft-spoken, gentlemanly doctor you've ever met, Ray Fiennes, who again, in the marketing for this, I thought, oh, he's the cult leader, he's the villain, he's gone crazy, he's painting himself with blood or something.
Yeah.
Again, looking like
No,
Marlon
I have
Brando in
logic behind
Apocalypse
everything
Now.
I do. You
Yeah.
study Latin. Do you know the words memento mori? Dead language, of course. You should
Ironic.
understand.
Yeah,
Ironic. that it's a
Ironic,
dead
isn't
language.
it? Little joke. He says like little joke in a point. He's like, yes, good.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
love this guy. What a
and
great
this is the
reveal.
It's
doctor.
one of the
Yeah.
greatest characters who has ever been on this podcast.
Period. Terry Silver
Yeah.
levels of legendary status. The good
Yes.
guy of Terry Silvers.
again, yeah, he shows up. He's in this movie maybe 30 minutes.
If
Uh,
that.
Yeah, blows us away with his performance. And again, yeah, he's been in so many, Oscar-worthy movies, even going back to Schindler's List, of course.
Mhm.
A
I
great actor.
said
Yeah.
So my theory was he did that Pope movie where he had to put on a lot of makeup to look older. I
Right.
threw out in that he did that Odyssey movie, which Jacob, you were like, I don't know what that is. You're thinking of Christopher Nolan's Odyssey movie. And I went, no, he has an action movie about him playing Odysseus from the Odyssey that came out last year where he
Oh.
was ripped
Mm.
as an archer with the sort of
Okay.
grown out, scraggly kind of bald hair that he has, big, beautiful beard.
Yeah.
Now I'm realizing, no. He got ripped at one time to do 2 action movies back to back, obviously, because certainly he filmed this and I would imagine is also a main character of The Bone Temple.
Right.
I think so.
I'm hoping so.
So we're in the third act. We're meeting the greatest character of all time, who
Mhm.
literally has a little boy say to him, excuse me, sir, I know you just saved us, but would you happen to be Dr. Kelson? And this maniac holding a blow dart is like, yes, my little gentleman. What a nice question to ask. I
So
am a
polite.
Dr. Kelson, but he has a look on his face that's like, You understand that I'm the craziest, like I'm the Mad Hatter, and you just
Yeah.
asked me that, right?
Again, subverting
Right.
expectations because he's built up as like this guy who went insane. You know, we hear Aaron Taylor Johnson's story about him lining up dead bodies. We don't know what's going on with this guy, but we just
Yeah.
ran. He seemed crazy.
And he
And
says,
this guy being the
so-
most soft-spoken, normal guy you could ever imagine.
he says, so do me a favor. Let's leave. Let's go right now. We need to go somewhere safe. And they start walking towards this structure that is bones.
Mhm.
It is
What you've seen in
spires of
the
bone.
promotional material, the poster heavily features this bone spire, just a tower of skulls, right? And a
Mhm.
bunch of other bones, like
Towers
it's like
of femurs and ulnas, like arm bones, and
And
again, I thought this was
Spike
some kind of
says,
crazy cult, and he's the leader of the cult, but no, he's just making this
well, and you're
memorial to the
thinking
dead, I
like,
guess.
okay, that's a cool thing for a poster, I guess. Like, what could that possibly mean? And Spike
Right.
says, so can I ask you, what do those possibly mean? And basically his response, and as Jacob said, Dr. Kelson is the most soft-spoken, kind man ever, just goes like, well, did you know that actually I've been waiting like 21 years for somebody to ask me what their deal is? And in fact, I'd love to tell you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen another person in so long.
I invited
just
some
been-
people to come down, but they ran away. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't look at my bones. Now, are you familiar with Latin? And he says, no. And he goes,
No,
okay,
ironically, a dead language, but
ironically,
yeah.
dead language. Memento mori, that means to live with death. And if we're going to do that and face that, don't you think we should make like little piles of bones to constantly think about that? And Spike is sort of like, yeah, I guess I could see that.
Right. Oh man.
Valor
And-
Morgulis, if you will. Valor
Yeah.
Morgulis.
Yes.
In the High Valyrian, every man
Yes.
must die.
Carpe Noctem? No, that's no. Seize the day, seize the night. I like his intro too because he comes out, he tranquilizes Samson. He's like, oh, this guy, he's been around here for 3 years. I love this guy. But like,
Yeah.
it's showing that
I call him
like,
Samson.
yeah, he's not trying
Let
to
it-
kill
he
him.
says, let it go, let it go. He takes the head off and he goes, did you know him? And he goes, we did.
Yeah.
It's Eric. Oh,
So when he brings that with him, you know, he's like, all right, hey, these are my bone collection. And he starts to kind of clean
Yeah.
off the skull. And he's
I
like,
like
"Yo,
how
let's
he
set him up.
explains everything because he's like, when he shoots him with the blow dart, he's like, oh yes, it's some chemical, puts him right to sleep, very powerful sedative.
Quick
And he's
acting.
like, yeah, I cover myself in iodine because the virus, it just hates the iodine, like it's a natural barrier to the iodine. So you're like, oh, that's why he's completely orange in this movie.
Right. And a
no blood.
doctor,
He won't get sick. Yeah.
yeah, and a physician, they're sick people, and he's treating them with humanity because they have a virus, and so that's his
Yeah.
perspective, and it's the perfect
somehow
intro.
the
You're
most
probably wondering, like,
normal and
how do I
sane person.
decide how to like stack up all the bones? Would you like to see the bone process, my boy? And Spike's like,
I guess so.
I should say like, I'm on a bit of a schedule here. I'm not positive I have a ton of time. It's basically like, you know what, mom's sleeping. Give me the whole bone tour. And the look on his face is like, ooh, I've been waiting to give this bone tour to people. It's like Jacob with a Minecraft building. He's like, the first what I do is I put him right into this thing.
Yeah, I've been working on this for 20 years,
So I
been
started
waiting to
with the
show it to someone.
redstone. Yeah.
You see, I've got this
Yep.
little oven that I put
Lava
the
chicken.
skulls in to cook the meat off and everything.
The meat goes into the
Um,
stream and down the river, so it washes away from me. Yep.
Yeah.
I sun bleach these fucking skulls, and then of course the most important part is placement. And you're like,
Yeah.
why? Why
Find
are
a
you
place
doing?
for Eric? So he cleans off the skull, makes a Shakespeare reference that says, alas, poor Eric, while holding the skull, which is very
Mhm.
funny.
And he looks at
doesn't
Spike and he's
understand.
like, pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You don't understand that, but that's good.
And he,
I'm,
like,
I'm having a good day.
I'm loving it. No, Spike actually knocks some skulls over. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. They'll topple by time or by
Yeah.
Spike's hand.
Yes, he's like, here's the other thing. I'm not a super dick about like some of my skulls getting messed up. He's like, if you look around, I've actually got like a ton of these things.
He's very zen about it. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very at peace.
But I like
Um,
the philosophy behind it, and it's my understanding. So yeah, everybody lives in death. He humanizes the infected. He's mixing the bones of victims and regular humans who died.
Yes.
Makes no distinction between the bones of the infected and the bones of the non-infected.
Doesn't
in his
matter at
mind.
the end.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
love
we
that.
all just are these little white skulls.
We
And
all
you're
just
like,
die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's sort of a memorial to the dead. It's
Mhm.
giving them dignity. So
Giving
he
them
gives,
dignity. Yeah.
says, okay, here's Eric's skull. Find a place for it in the bone temple.
He
Ike,
hands the child
that
a
was
skull
really good.
of
But
a
he
guy
said
he knew
when
4
he comes
hours
back, he
ago.
goes, Spike, you chose a really good place. And Spike is sort of like proud of like, I did do a good
did.
job with placing that skull there. Thank you.
yeah,
I think Eric's happy
and
here.
then so he's talking. He's like, so you came to us because of the baby, right?
So the baby, huh? Like it's really like the way that he like casually brings up, he's like, yes, I'm a doctor and you've got this baby. That's pretty cool. So what am I gonna do with it? He's like, I actually don't have any clue about that baby, and like I'm very nervous about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you see, yeah, we just saw that baby be born from a zombie. It's a healthy baby though. Oh yes, the miracles of the placenta.
I
Mm-hmm.
often wondered. Water will only get you so far. You really got to give those
Still,
things milk. So,
yeah.
anyways, should I show you more bones? And Spike's like, actually, I've got one more thing that I'd actually love to talk about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here for my mom. My mom's sick. Maybe you could, figure out what's wrong with her and maybe cure her.
Cure her
Um,
bones, you say? And it's like, no,
No,
just
not yet.
cure her. Thank you.
yeah. So he gives her like an examination as a doctor
And this
would.
is where I started crying.
Yes, this whole third act, I was just tearing
He-
up. I was so
The
emotional.
way this is shot, the performances are happening. He gives this tender, like the clinical way that he talks, where it just starts with him smiling and he says, so I'm holding my finger out this way. What I need you to do is hold your finger up in the same way and match where it's meeting. If you could come together, please just show me that you can do that. And she struggles to do it. And he grabs her hand and goes, that's okay. And then he moves on
Yeah.
to another test. And you're just like, oh God, this is going to head in such a horrible direction.
Yeah.
And then it just gets so much worse and worse.
He's
Mm-hmm.
asking about the confusion spells she has and things. And he's like, I need to sort of examine your breasts and under your arms. Is that
Is
okay?
that all right?
Yeah.
And she says,
Um,
yes, it is. She feels very comfortable and safe.
Yeah.
He says, do you remember that I asked you to remember a word? And she says, I do. And he says, tell me the word. And she looks at him, and it's just so fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah. So obviously he's like, well, I don't have, all the diagnostic equipment that a doctor would normally
I can't
have
do
and
a
everything.
biopsy, and I've run
Yeah.
no tests. That's what he says. He's
Yeah.
again making like little jokes to himself.
Right.
mm-hmm.
But basically, from what I can observe, I believe your mother has cancer. And it's either, spread from her body to her brain or her brain to her body, but it's metastasized in her brain and she
And
has
her breasts.
brain cancer.
That explains the lumps. It explains the
yeah.
enlarged lymph nodes, her memory, her issues.
Yeah.
And she says, you know what, Spike? I was thinking
That's
it
what
was
I thought
cancer.
it probably was.
And he's like, what?
Why didn't
Why
you say
doesn't
that?
anybody tell me anything? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is another moment where he says the cancer has metastasized. Unfortunately, it's terminal. I'm so sorry for you both. And Spike says, I don't know what any of that means. Like, again,
But the
he
mom
doesn't
understands.
understand
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And they
like,
kind of have this
It
silent
means
agreement
over.
and this
Yes.
look where she's like, okay, I know what this means. But she's like wanting to protect Spike from the truth and the reality of the situation, obviously. And this is why I'm so emotional in this scene, because I'm thinking about my own mom and mortality and people getting sick and all that stuff. And it's tough. Everyone's gonna have to go through at some point. Again, memento mori. It's the reality of life.
Remember death. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Just like.
But he has a rejoinder to that because he says, memento mori, and then later he says, but also memento amoris. Remember, we must love. Remember, we must die. Remember, we must love.
Yeah.
And man, that's it's tough.
It was hitting so hard, and then to do this in a movie that's swinging dong and ripping heads off at the same time,
Yeah.
It's like, this is insane how well balanced it is, despite the conflicting amplitudes of the tone of certain scenes. It's
How long
to
does she
explore this
have?
theme.
I don't know, not long is what he
Right.
says. And like Jacob said, they have this agreement. He shares this news with them and he gives Spike a look and he stands up and they hug and he gives Jodie Whittaker a look, or I'm sorry,
Jodie
Jodie
Comer.
Comer a look.
Yeah.
And then shoots Spike with a blow dart. And I was like, no, don't ever do that. That's the worst. And Spike's just like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. And Jodie Comer's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. And gives him a big hug. And then they get up and this guy is blow dart crazy.
He loves his blow darts.
Yeah.
But this is where he's talking. So this was in the trailer, these lines of, there are many kinds of death. Some are better than others, and the best kind of death is a peaceful death.
Gentle. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Peaceful.
this is sort of a commentary on assisted suicide, which is something that's been, in the
Hot
news a
topic.
lot, where it's
Mhm.
like doctor assisted suicide. If you have a terminal illness, is it actually more ethical to end your life on your own terms rather than just get sicker and sicker and waste away in pain? Is it better to go out on your own terms
Yeah.
and go out peacefully, that kind of thing? So it's controversial because there's some people that are very against it for religious reasons
Yeah.
or whatever, but I think for me, I support it in cases like this where it's like, yeah, you're a terminal cancer patient, like you should have some control over the end of your own life and have some dignity, right? And so
Right.
that's what it's giving you. So it's really it's insane that this movie is like touching on so many different things and
It is.
bringing this angle into it, like in the third act of this movie, where you're just like, Jesus Christ, like this, it's insane.
The level of gravity, and then Spike's
Yeah.
now participated in causing death. He's seen a lot of death. Like it's all about man's relationship with it. His father says, the more you kill him, the easier it gets. It's like,
Right.
so he's experienced all this stuff, and then he gets, I think, on some level, some are better than others.
Yeah.
It's crazy that this is what this movie is doing when the trailer makes
Again,
you think crazy zombie blood cult.
Right.
Yeah.
The Ralph Fiennes character is so different than what I was expecting. It's
love
kind of mind blowing, and even the trailers made it look different. Again, I thought he was going to be like the cult leader of this death cult with the bone temple and all this stuff. And he's actually so different, and he leads the mother away and does what has to be done, and she's okay with that. I think she's accepting that.
Mm-hmm. Especially in this
and-
world, it's like I think she
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
we got to go all the way back. Like,
Right.
There's no medicine. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Well, yeah,
rough.
the journey at any moment could be death, and like you said, it's a good death versus a bad death. She could be ripped apart on this walk home.
Right.
But he's darted, and Spike again kind of has one of these surreal dreams to sort of let her go and say goodbye. And when he's woken up, he's presented her skull. The
Yeah.
entire process has
He
gone
gives
through, and he
Spike
says,
his mother's skull.
"Place her in the best spot." Is what he
Yes.
says. I thought he was gonna say like in your bag or like with you, always forever or something. But no, it's just literally means like you go all the way up one of those spires. Like
Yeah,
you
put
get
it
a
at the top
pretty
of the
good spot
Christmas
for that
tree.
head. I promise. Like you gotta
Yeah.
place her in one of those bone piles, my man.
And when he goes to grab the first rung, he kind of looks over at Ray Fiennes and he nods, like, "Yep, keep on going, buddy. Climb that thing.
All the way up. I'm telling you.
Best
But again,
spot."
all this stuff that like seems like it would be like so like grisly and like
Morbid.
horrific and morbid, but it's actually like this nice moment where he's giving
tender.
this kid his mother's skull who was alive like a couple minutes ago. It's like that would be hard for a kid to accept, but this kid has seen so much recently that he's kind of like okay with it.
Again,
Yeah.
the latitudes of like my ability to like absorb and understand this film. If I'm out at my most at the pregnant zombie, I'm the most in when a little boy is getting presented the skull of his mother. Like
Yeah.
it's like this film, I'm just
Yeah.
like I'm so off kilter that I'm like grabbing onto like anything to like stabilize, and what I'm getting, I'm like, "Wah!"
None of this
Yeah.
entire movie was on my bingo card. Like nothing that happened
No,
was on my bingo
not a
card.
not a
No, it's
frame of this film.
constantly keeps you
Yeah.
guessing. In a
And
good
then I'm
way.
like, so what happens next? And basically him and the baby, well, they're attacked by
Well-
another alpha.
I wanted to say before, when he puts her in the best spot, he climbs up and he watches the sunrise with his mom's skull. And it's like the dawning
Yeah.
of a new era, a new day. Yeah.
He shifts it. He points her towards the sunrise, so she'll always be able to see it.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful moment,
Insane.
Yeah.
You have to remember this is an action film, so Samson attacks again.
Right.
Doctor is almost kind of taken away, but not really. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's much danger at this point. And he's basically like, I think it's time for you and that baby to go.
Oh, yeah,
Anyways,
Spike saves him
I'll
with
always
that
have your
dart.
mom's skull. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, imagine the villagers, Spike and his mom leave. They come back with Spike comes back with a newborn and leaves them a note and goes away again.
And it says, I hate it here.
I found this baby.
Fuck this shit.
Yeah, mom died. Here's a baby. Her name is Isla.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go find myself or whatever. I'm gonna walk until I can't see the ocean because that's what they talked about earlier with his dad.
Yeah.
There's
And-
places where you can walk for days and not see the coast.
Yep.
Is that true? Da?
And this was another complete twist. I was expecting him to go back to the village. Where'd you find this baby? Was it an infected baby? Oh, what do we got? We can't have this. There's going to be a whole argument, but another subversion.
Yeah. So he just leaves the baby in a basket and is like, look, I'll be back when I'm back. I got to go find myself. I'm a 12-year-old boy.
And I'm
12-year-old man
like,
now.
fuck, that's what this movie was? This is like, what a way to end this. He's at the fire. He's reading off. He's like, I'm a man. I've matured, all this stuff. And then Jacob.
Just when
Mhm.
I'm thinking, okay, this movie was incredible.
This-
it's almost over.
It's all made sense. Wink, wink. Now,
Yeah.
stuff we've forgotten to talk about. We've not mentioned the graffiti. Anytime you see religious graffiti, you also see some maniac has written Jimmy, where there's near like the God part.
Mhm.
We didn't talk about when they find a human being, Jamie and
hung
Spike.
upside down.
Hung upside
The
down.
bag
he's
over its
abused.
head. Has Jimmy
Why would they have
carved
done
into
this?
him.
The
Yeah.
mainlanders, Spike. They're crazy.
They're weird.
You
They're
need
weird
to
people.
understand.
Mhm.
That's why our community is so precious, Spikey boy.
Mhm.
Look at
Yeah.
that. They're not. They would
would they
certainly
do
don't
that?
wear colorful tracksuits and gold chains and have long hair like Jimmy Savile do that. No, I don't know anything about that.
Not that crazy.
Yeah.
They couldn't be that crazy. They're certainly not the stars of the other biggest film of this year, are they, Dad? Well, in fact, they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Spike's going
Madness.
off on his own, and he is getting chased by some more zombies. He's shooting them, but there's a bunch of them running after him. It's getting kind of bad for him. He's like, uh-oh. Gets to a certain point, and then he shoots one, and then someone behind him says, "Oh, that was a great shot. You're doing great, son. But mind if we take over from here?" And we turn
Mhm.
around. We see a group of people in colorful tracksuits, long blonde hair, gold chains, jewelry, and they jump down and they start doing some Power Rangers bullshit.
Like some
And doing
martial
some
arts
crazy-
flips and stuff.
Yeah, and just killing all these zombies.
It's
Again,
like pure
in a moment,
camp. Yeah, it's
so
complete
crazy
tone
that it, like
shift.
almost derails this entire movie, but somehow like it still works for me because I know it's like setting up the next movie, but I'm just like, what the fuck? And then this movie ends, and that's how the movie ends.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like when I first saw it, I was like, it's almost like Danny Boyle said, all right, I got to tell my sweet, heartfelt story about the relationship with man and death and acceptance. But you guys wanted a crazy batshit zombie movie. Well, here you go. You got it.
Right.
I do have
Like-
to set up the Bone Temple, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I
Yeah,
guess.
This could have been a post-cred
these
scene,
characters, yeah, but they feel like they're from a different movie
honestly. Yeah.
almost. So it's like they're so out
But
there.
they've been set up so well the entire time.
There's a lot
Right.
of foreshadowing.
And we learn
in the background. And again, yeah, like the kid in the beginning, the Teletubbies intro named Jimmy. This is that kid. It's played by Jack O'Connell, who we know, of course, from Sinners,
It's an Irish vampire.
Jimmy.
Irish Vampire. And again, Jimmy Savile, American audiences, if you don't know, look up who that is. Look up what he looks like. So
Mhm.
this is some kind of cult of Jimmy where they're all named Jimmy. and
Jemima,
they
yeah.
yeah, it's again, this is something out of like The Walking Dead or something where every community has a gimmick.
Right.
um where it's like, yeah, these people. There's a game I played called Wasteland 3. That's like an RPG,
Right.
a post-apocalyptic RPG where there's a community of people that all like worship Elvis. So
Okay.
it kind of reminded me of that, where they have an Elvis-based community.
Mhm.
Fallout.
Yeah, because
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Fallout. Wasteland was the original Fallout, and then that property came back as Wasteland. Don't have it's not important. But
No.
yeah, so they're setting up this Jimmy Savile cult, I guess. But again, if you don't know who Jimmy Savile is, British audiences will get this reference maybe more than a lot of Americans. But look him up. Famous child sex predator slash
TV.
beloved British TV personality.
And
So
I mean, for American side, I just thought, oh, tracksuits like Run DMC and shit. Like, yeah, it's around that time.
yeah,
I guess I didn't really put it all together, but I'm ready for
right.
Bone
But
fucking Doctor or whatever.
but again, in a way that where I'm like, I've read the Lord of the Rings books. I could have an idea or a picture of where they would go. The fact that this resolves so neatly, but I am worried about our lead. I do know his father wants to reconnect with him, that this whole community will seek him out. I do know that the doctor is still there and good
Hmm.
Lord, who knows what he's going to be up to. And now there is this new threat. I'm immediately like, oh, I cannot wait for the next fucking movie. I'm like so
Yeah,
fucking excited and to
Hmm.
see
see where
what
it
the
goes.
rest of this is. Where does any of it go?
This
Remember, this is
world building,
going to be
yeah.
3 movies. So the first one, this is directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland. Again, the next one, The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta,
Yeah.
of course, who I'm not a huge fan of. She did the Candyman remake. She
Which
did
we
The
don't like. We've
Marvels.
said is not good,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
we
we don't
also
like
don't like the Marvels.
The Marvels. Again, that's one where she like immediately after it came out, they started doing um like, oh well, basically she started saying, well, I wasn't really even the director on this. Like, if you know the MCU way, like I was the name director, but it kind of became it was an MCU property. She didn't have full creative control over
Right.
it, which we've seen a
Threw each
lot with.
other under the bus, it seemed like, mutually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
started doing damage control as soon as it came out. Marvel started saying, oh, whatever, she was difficult to work with or something. um so not
But
a
it's written
great
by
like
Alex
recent
Garland, so I feel okay.
Yeah, it's written by Alex Garland. Again, I
And
don't
then
want to
Danny
doubt that.
returns for the third one.
Who
Excuse
returned?
me.
Oh, does Danny Boyle come
Yeah, the
back? Yeah.
third one will be directed by Danny Boyle. So, but again, I do want to say Nia DaCosta, even though I don't like some of her recent movies, she did do a movie called Little Woods. That's her directorial debut. That's supposed to be pretty good with Tessa Thompson.
Supposedly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Can I make a prediction?
Sure.
yeah.
I guarantee the third one is subtitled Memento Mori.
Ooh, I like that. This is gonna age well. Um,
Yeah, and this
but I.
was again
Hmm.
shot sequentially or shot simultaneously with this one, which is interesting, Lord of the Rings style. I'll tell you the credited actors right now on it:
Please
Aaron
do.
Taylor Johnson, Jack O'Connell, Ray Fiennes, the kid that plays Spike, and Cillian Murphy,
That's right.
the original, the
Is
star
it
of
Jim?
28 Days Later as Jim. So again, I don't know what this word, this name, Jimmy, has to do with. I don't know what his part in this movie is going to be, but he is credited on Wikipedia as being in it.
Yeah, that's gonna
And
be
that's
wild.
it's coming out January 16th, 2026, 5 days after my birthday. So that'll be fun.
It can't come. It can't come soon enough. I think. Again, the tracksuits were crazy, but I like the setup of the world building of like, okay, here's the moving pieces. Aaron Taylor Johnson's running into the ocean because he does love his kid. He wants to save him. He wants to go find him. So he's
Right.
gonna maybe find Ralph Fiennes or Ray Fiennes, be like, "Yo, what's up?" And he's gonna see the Jack O'Connell cult, and it's not gonna be all it was made out to be. Oh, I miss my village.
Oh, I would love that if they teamed up, Mike. Boy, you just got me
Right.
excited.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I misunderstood. Your wife's skull is up there. Your son put it there.
No, hello. It's very nice to see you.
Yeah, I like that. Because then Aaron Taylor Johnson has to grow because he's still in that alpha male negative mindset. He's got to The villagers fear death, and we must kill the infected because they cause it. Where Ralph Fiennes coexists with death and puts them to sleep, and that's the
Right.
conflicting philosophies. So, what is Jack O'Connell's philosophy? They think it's all a fucking video game.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
think he's God or their God or
and that
gonna be
all this
something
shit
like
is
that,
just
yeah,
fun
who
as
knows?
hell. Yeah.
yeah,
But
something like
according to what Wikipedia says, Cillian Murphy was spotted filming in Ennerdale, Cumbria. They began filming in August 2024. So again, this has all been filmed already. Aaron Taylor Johnson seemingly revealed he would return for the film, saying, "We did 1 and 2 back to back."
Hmm.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I definitely
I
will be
can't wait.
watching that. Yeah,
No, I
will
was
definitely
so
be talking
against
about
it when you announced it that there was going to be 3 of
I
these, and
just
I'm
didn't
so for it.
understand.
Right. It sounds like, oh, they're doing a trilogy or like they're coming back to the 28 franchise after 15 years or however
Basically,
long.
one movie and one cash grab, right? Like,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
basically dead.
Excuse
Right.
me, Danny. I
You're making
wasn't familiar with your name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like, oh, this is a big swing. I don't know about this. And again, Danny Boyle's recent track record. Yesterday, a film that I watched on an airplane that was so bad, I was like, this could not be Danny Boyle. Like, you cannot tell me Danny Boyle made this movie.
Well, and
I don't know.
Alex Garland being
Yeah.
like, "Well, I just made Civil War," and they're like, "What's your
Right.
next film?" He's like, "Well, I'm co-directing a movie called Warfare. It's about war,"
Yeah.
and you're like,
He made two.
"What's
He
going
made,
on with you?"
Yeah.
he's making these movies about war. Warfare is about the Iraq War, I believe, from perspective of soldiers that are like in a house, and it's all in the action and stuff. And it's kind of all
Co-directed by a military guy.
one
Yeah.
take. Yeah,
Yeah.
not one take, but it's all set like it's sort of a
Kinetic,
bottle
yeah.
episode kind of a
Yeah.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be realistic and gritty and stuff. And I was like, this doesn't seem like what I want Alex Garland to really be doing. I like when he does these like sci-fi movies and stuff. Like he's good at that, asking these existential questions and stuff. But he got hung up on the idea of war and stuff. And Civil War, I think, is a flawed movie. I have some problems with it, like the politics of it and everything. It's sort of almost an apolitical political movie, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And it's a British guy trying to make a movie about American politics and maybe not fully understanding the nuances of what's going on over here. Again, not a terrible film. I think it's got some strengths to it, but it's a film that I had some issues with as well. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
Kai Spaney is in it. So
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, your
Mike's
favorite.
biggest issue is she doesn't shoot any xenomorphs.
There's no xenomorphs, exactly.
He's a great photojournalist, and we all know how important photojournalists are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the shot. Isn't that right, Mary Jane?
I remember when you shot the Antifa massacre. It was you're my hero.
Yeah. Anyway,
Jane.
but yeah.
I'm a mentat. Beep boop beep boop beep boop.
But to come back to this, without Cillian Murphy being in it, Danny Boyle, Alex Garland, like, oh, we're gonna do more 28 Days stuff. We're like, what?
I just didn't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. It's so
and again,
crazy.
It's so different. It's so different, even from 28 Days Later, which I rewatched last week. I think it holds up. It's a great 2000 zombie movie. Restarted the zombie craze. This movie's completely different.
It's getting mixed reviews. I wonder if it will win the weekend. It's going up against a new Pixar, that Elio piece of trash.
Elio.
I would have to assume that'll come in number one, family audiences. This is a movie with penises out most of the time and people's skulls.
And this is a movie where people walk out saying, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And
my audience got up as fast as they could, and I heard a lot of them say, "What the fuck was that?"
I think it's divisive in that I think it's alienating the 2 movies a year crowd, right?
Yes.
Oh, we went out to the theater first time, since we saw Sinners a couple months ago. We didn't fully understand that one either, but we live in middle America. We're going out to Applebee's and then we're going to see this movie, me and the wife, and we just don't understand what's going on.
We just don't get it. But to what you said, Jacob, about it being different than the first movie, I have seen now, eating up as much criticism as I can after seeing the fact, complaints where people go, Well, the zombies really aren't like the zombies from the first movie, except in that opening priest scene. I really don't like that they took that away. Which
Mm.
again, you're like, this film is about 1,000 things other than zombies. Like
It's also been
that's
28
the
years.
smallest
Right?
part. Yeah, it's been 28 years. The title implies it.
Right. These zombies have been around for a while now. Of course, they're going to be different than the recent outbreak
Yes.
zombies. Like these are the ones that have survived for years eating worms and things like that. So of course,
Yeah.
it's a different world. But that's what's so great about the world building is you get all
That's
these
what's
details.
so amazing about this. But I'm
Yeah.
worried that we won't get all the sequels.
Oh no, we must.
Well, we'll get the second one for sure because it was already filmed, right? But the
It's
third
done,
one,
yeah.
I don't know.
But is this a
But-
Horizon American Saga situation, Jacob?
oh, how dare you?
Are we looking towards the West?
I don't know, but I hope it does well. Yeah, I think has been divisive with some people really loving it, some people saying that's not what I expected.
I've seen people hate it.
Really?
Yeah, well, so I think that's
Right
to be
now, it's my
expected.
number.
Ooh.
I'm doing. I think it's number one, and then I'm doing Life of Chuck because I suck. Then I'm doing Sinners. That's where I'm at right now.
I haven't
They're
seen-
all so close to being number one for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen Life of Chuck. This might be the best movie I've seen that's come out this year so far.
It makes
Sinners
me
is up there
stoked
too.
that this is an incredible year for movies. Like I'm jinxing it now that it's going to be an awesome fucking year for films.
Mm.
And
I'm
we got the
hoping
Red
so.
Hulk this year, so that is in jeopardy.
That's true.
We got the
that's
Red
true.
Hulk, we got Thunderbolts, which Thunderbolts didn't do as well financially as we would have hoped.
Loved
Actually,
it.
Brave New World outsold Thunderbolts for your
Yeah.
MCU news, MCU corner there. But
Yeah.
We got a trailer for this film for my most anticipated film of the year. Of course, a little dancing robot named Mathregan herself. 2.0.
Oh, Mathregan.
I was
you
going
are
in
so
to sit
excited.
down for this, and I was
Yeah.
like, I wonder if there's any weird popcorn buckets. I didn't see any. They have one that is just Mathregan as her new pop girl persona for whatever the movie is that I will be purchasing. I want that to be known now.
I don't know how I feel about the sequel to Megan. I like the first one, but this one feels like they're
Don't know
really
what you're
going for it
talking
in
about.
weird ways.
You sound insane, old man.
I'm not sure it needed a sequel. I'm not sure I wanted it to have a sequel, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right, we'll see.
It could be fun.
Yeah. Regardless, let's head over maybe for final thoughts
Yeah.
on something that I am excited for the sequel for. 28 years later.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we're wrapping things up in the Bone Temple before we head to the next film, The Bone Temple, because we're talking 28 years later here on Normies Like Us. If you're watching along at home, you'll see that Jacob has painted his room in iodine.
I should have done orange.
Kind of
Yeah.
looks like it with my red light in here. It's really making me look orange.
Orange.
Yeah, the
lighting.
white balance orange. It's keeping the infected away.
Mike's a little red from getting some sun when we were playing
Mike's got the
pickleball the other
rage.
day.
Yeah, I
Mike's
got the rage.
His-
I've been trekking across until I can't see the sea anymore, and then getting sunburned.
Yeah.
And me, I'm surrounded by my lovely skulls.
Yes.
These are my skulls.
These are my skulls. They each have
Again,
a
it's
my
so
cue
funny
bone.
to think about the world of the 28 where the rest of the world just went on as normal, but England has been totally quarantined.
Yeah.
It's man.
Yeah.
But if you told me in the world right now where we're existing, where we're recording this podcast,
Yeah.
there is some sort of island where people have shipwrecked, where somebody's like, "You call me Zool now," and people are like, "Yes, my
Well,
lord."
there definitely are native tribes in certain
Yeah.
areas that are like non-contact with the rest of society. Like Christian missionaries have tried to go there and been murdered because they showed up and were like, "Hey, let me tell you about Jesus," and then
Green
these
Inferno.
people just like kill them. But
Mhm.
so
Can't
there
lie.
are non-contacted people within the world. So I guess it is possible. Yeah. But to think that for 30 years or whatever, like the rest of the world would just be like, okay, that's England. We don't go there anymore. We don't talk about it.
The truth of the matter is, if everyone was so worried about the infection spreading to the rest of the globe, they would just bomb England.
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Why would stop them from doing
Well, that's
it?
essentially like 28 weeks later. That's what they do. They like firebomb the city. and just like kill like Idris Elba is like kill everyone. I don't care if they're
Yeah.
infected or not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I guess you can't blow up the entire country.
I think you can.
I think you can.
Yeah, maybe you can.
How long does it take to deradiate? Like 28 years? What's 28 to
what's the
40? Like,
half-life?
just, yeah. We've already spent 28
Maybe-
waiting for it.
Might be finding out soon with
That's
Iran.
the other thing. That
Oh,
they're
man. Hope
in this
not.
movie about how accurate it seems.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. This movie, I enjoy this movie because of themes that are similar to what's going on. Is the island culture, their thing is fear of the enemy from without. And, we must destroy from without to protect our insulary community, that kind of attitude, as opposed to have empathy for everything, which is Ray Fiennes' perspective. So I like the philosophy here. I like the complexity of it. I like that Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's not the best father, but he still cares about it. Like he's not a horrible person. He has flaws, but like he still wants his son to survive and etc. Like there's all this complexity to the whole movie, and it's not at all what I expected, and that's why I assume people are giving it bad reviews. I love that this kind of movie exists because they don't.
I think it's a mixed reception because I think there are people like us that love it and some people that hate it. So it's again, I think it's divisive, but hopefully enough people see it and like it that it's successful.
I miss things that challenge me,
Yeah.
and this does that, and I think a lot of people maybe don't like that, and that's why it's getting mixed reception.
Well, and again, to do it with a genre movie like this, where people go in expecting something, and then to get something totally out of left field, maybe they're not ready for it. But I love that kind of thing. So definitely, I think that's kind of up our alleys. So maybe.
And shout out to the marketing team for not giving it away. Like so
Not
often
giving
now,
away
everything gets given away in the trailers.
And making one of the best trailers like I've ever seen. Like that's what made me so excited to watch this was the trailers where I'm like, this shit looks great. And to do that without revealing anything. Yeah.
Danny Boyle did an AMA today and people said, how did you come up with that? That's so genius. And he said, I didn't. That was all the marketing department. I said, find me a poem. And they came up with that and it worked so well. We edited it into the
movie. Yeah.
So then you go like, but that changes what what was it about before? Like, it seems like it's all this, a piece of itself, like beautiful. We said Ouroboros before.
Mm-hmm. That is nuts.
That's nuts to think about. Yeah. Like some really good trailer houses out there making some good, I think the trailer in itself is an art form. I think it's a short film, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen some great trailers. Even like the Alien Romulus trailer and things like that. So like recent trailers, but making a trailer is an art form. It's different than making a feature film, but to make a great trailer, it's really a special thing. So shout out to those trailer editors, and shout out to Danny Boyle, who's 68 years old and making one of the best movies in his entire filmography at 68.
The George Miller, Fury Road move.
Right.
And in the same way that George Miller, Mike, is sort of the patron artist of Australia. I don't know if you guys recall when the UK got the Olympics, Danny Boyle directed the Olympics show.
That's right.
Which was
intro, the opening.
Kenneth Branagh reading a speech from Charles Dickens about
Daniel Craig
skydiving revolution. Meanwhile, James Bond with the Queen are skydiving and like Voldemort is like coming out of like the ground, like all that stuff. Like the only person they could trust with it was Danny Boyle.
Right.
That's fair.
One of Britain's best.
Right.
We didn't mention, Ray Fiennes, all these iconic roles. His most iconic role is probably Voldemort in the Harry Potter.
Right.
Harry Potter.
The
boy who lives. Like giving again the most unhinged performance.
Yeah. It's crazy because when you think of Ray Fiennes, you think of these The Menu, the Pope movie, which was another art imitating life, imitating art kind of thing with the Pope movie, where they really had a conclave like less than a year after that movie came out.
Yes.
But shout out to Danny Boyle and shout out to this movie.
Shout out to the cast, shout out to the writer, shout out to the cinematographer.
Apple.
films going forward are inspired by this film to be bold and interesting.
And I think
Yeah.
you mentioned George Miller too, and I think that's very fitting because this reminds me a lot of Furiosa, the new
Mhm.
one, where it's like not what I expected. It's sort of out of left field, and it's different and weird in a way that like some people didn't like as much. Like obviously, a lot of
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, it's not Fury Road." But yeah, it's a different movie. This isn't 28 Days Later, but it's a different movie. So
Yeah, same
um,
universe.
I see a lot of similarities there of just like a director really going for what his vision is or what he wants to do.
Hey, can I blow this
Um,
thing up? And everybody's like,
yeah,
no, we're giving you the money to do the thing. And he's like,
right.
but I'm going to do the thing anyways. Shouldn't I blow it up?
And obviously, I hope it doesn't replicate Furiosa's box
Yeah,
office
I think it will.
performance. Maybe the public just wasn't ready, and hopefully they are ready for this. But
Mike, I need my spiky boy back.
Spiky boy.
You
good
anchor
lad.
sending him out. When I pushed him from my uterus, you can
You baby
You just
killer.
like,
Baby killing cunt.
baby
Yeah.
killer.
Oh man,
Uh,
he's gonna show up with Jack O'Connell. He's gonna be like, "Where's my son?" Spike's gonna be in a jumpsuit, little tracksuit. It's
Yeah,
gonna
call
be-
me Jimmy now.
Blonde wig.
Yeah, they call
Yeah.
me Jimmy. Oh man,
We'll have to see, but overall, I think we all agreed that we love this movie.
it was incredible.
Defied our expectations, and it's just rare that you go into something like this and it just really totally subverts your expectations, I guess,
In
in a
every
way
way.
that is so original. And I'm like, yeah, I wish I had more theater experiences like this where I went into something and was just kind of blown away by something I wasn't expecting.
I mean, we're gonna talk about Jurassic Park this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, and like this is so fresh. Right now, I'm struggling with is this maybe my favorite movie of the year? It's like, is this one of my favorite movies? Period. Like
Wow.
that's what I'm wrestling with. It's like it is
Yeah.
very, very good.
Again, I said, 28 Days Later holds up. I think this movie, is the best in this
Mhm.
franchise.
I
As
agree.
much so like 28 Days Later, and it kickstarted the entire zombie craze of the
100%.
2000s. Yeah.
Fellowship of
It's
the
a
Ring,
masterpiece.
except at the end, Harry Potter shows up with his crew. It's like that kind of energy,
Right.
You want to go fuck up Sauron? And you're like,
Yeah.
"What?
but what? I'm here
See you
for
next time. To be continued. Pew, 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 pew.
it. I had no idea Jack O'Connell was in this either. So when I saw him show up, I'm
I-
like, oh my god, I'm so ready.
What
Yeah,
if
he's
I
in
was
two of the
him?
best movies of the year so far.
I would be
Mhm.
fucking. I don't know if I'd be hiding away or doing every interview I could, because you pray to God
Right.
no controversies, nothing pops up,
Mhm.
but you also want him to be fucking riding this moment, dude. We love Skins. He fucking
Another
deserves
Skins
this.
alumni.
That's
yeah.
right.
We love our Skins alumni.
Well, we mentioned
Nicholas Holt.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Speaking of
Yep.
Dev Patel, but speaking of upcoming movies, July for blockbuster
Yeah.
genre movies, superhero, we got some big heavy hitters coming that we're going to be talking about. Obviously, we've got Superman, we've got
Mhm.
Fantastic Four, we've got Jurassic Park Rebirth
Jurassic
or whatever.
World Rebirth.
Sure, reheat.
There's going to be a
Reheat.
stack of T-Rex skulls.
Reheat those
Memento
nachos.
Mori.
Yeah.
So, do you know Latin Doctor, whatever your name is, who owns
Dr.
the park
Scarlett
now?
Johansson.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No.
So, but stay tuned, normies, because we will be talking about all these big upcoming movies, summer blockbusters. We're looking forward
Jacob,
to it.
let's talk
Yeah.
about what we're talking about next week, because I believe we're continuing our long form series. Is that correct?
That's right. We're back to the world of Miyazaki, more like
Mhm.
Junazaki.
Mhm.
But yeah, next week we will be talking Laputa, The Castle in the Sky, Hayao Miyazaki's third feature film. And so that'll be next week.
Are we still
Studio
not Ghibli yet?
Ghibli.
So this is the first Studio Ghibli
Okay.
film, I believe.
Milestones.
Yes. So after the success of Nausicaa, led to the forming of Studio Ghibli, and then came Laputa. So
All right.
I
Looking
love it.
forward
That'll
to
be
seeing
fun.
that one. Another art tour.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got that, and then it's July, and then it's blockbuster season. So stay tuned, normies. We got some good
Mhm.
ones coming up.
Colin,
And
you
I
predicted
am
correctly.
being.
Oh, just this is a big one because we love this movie. Go see it and tell people to watch it. That's all.
Oh, absolutely. I thought you were going to say, did they just announce that the third one is called Memento Mori? Right.
Right.
What I was going to say is I'm being a little affected by the rage virus. So will one of you take us out just to be safe?
That's right. Well, yeah. Thanks for listening, normies. Don't you rage out unless you're raging on that like and share and subscribe button. Again, tell your friends to watch us, and if they don't like it, tell them to read a book and get smart enough to like it.
Yeah.
My dick, my big dick.
Samson and Goliath.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And
what a
check us out
movie.
on YouTube. As always, we're on YouTube, we're on podcast sites, whatever.
Tell us what
check
you
us
thought
out.
of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Go see it in theaters. We want it to do well so that they make more weird movies like this and less MCU movies, I guess.
Yeah. Make original, smart stuff. Anyway. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it. I guess we've been your hosts. Colin.
This
That's
is
right.
Jimmy Colin.
This is Jamikey.
This is Jimmy Jake.
All right, Jimmy Jake.
Jimmy
All
Jake.
right.
Ooh,
Go order
now
some
I'm
Jimmy
gonna kill ya.
Johns.
Give a deep for that move.
Yeah, weird martial arts weapons. Yeah, it was great. Can't wait to see more of them in the Bone Temple.
That's right.
Memento
Memento
Amoris.
Mori and Memento Amoris. Remember you
Bye.
must die. Remember you must love. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.